We locked ourselves out of the house.
You locked yourself out of the house.
And you know, it's crazy because the garage door is not working well, so I don't have the garage door open in the car.
Gotcha.
And we decided we were going to go out to eat, and my husband grabbed some keys while I had my
Sure.
key. Brad didn't go in the house. And everything's locked. Locked son has to the keys at work.
Right.
So we drove to work. By the time we did that, we decided to just go home and eat.
Can I tell you what I found to be very shocking? I want to share this with you guys. I got locked out of my house once, and I called a mobile. There's 24-hour locksmiths, and I called them and I said, "Can you please come and unlock the door?" And she goes, "Sure." She unlocks the door and says, "Would you like to see my identification to know whether or not this is my house?" She said, "No."
Oh my gosh. That's a loaded up?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So FYI, if you want to get into somebody's house, call a locksmith. They'll open the door. Good to know. And
We'll have to at least call, if you want to get into Teresa's house.
yeah, come into my house. You look like nice people. They'll be like, "Sure, no, would you like to see some ID? Do you want to know that this is my house?" She goes, "No, it's all right." I'm like, "Okay." I don't know if she thought I looked do I look like a respectable person?
No.
Not, I know, right?
I'm kidding.
No, I know. That's what I said. I don't look that respectable, do I? Have I lost my 80s, hair banging? Obviously. Okay, so Stephanie Persinger, what have you done in real estate since I've seen you last?
I had a date night with my husband.
That's awesome. Wonderful.
We scheduled that in. We sat down together and I was like, what days do you not have to go to assembly meetings? What days do you not have to work late most? And
Nice.
worked around my scheduling. So
Okay, and how important is it to go sit there with your schedule? Remember, how far in advance are you planning out your life now?
every Wednesday,
Great.
because I'm a very selfish woman and I need time with my husband.
Wow, that's why you got me.
Right? Now, that is the theory, isn't it? That
I
you
was
want to
telling
spend
you.
your time with this person.
I was telling him, I was like, I'm just hanging out with you. We need to find a night that we can always count on hanging out together.
Nice. That's so good. That's so good. So if you don't mind, Jim, I'm going to come back to you.
Okay.
Because we've got all kinds of fun stuff that happened with James yesterday. And then Marianne Hunt, what have you done in real estate since I've seen you last?
I've exchanged business cards with the car dealership there at Honda and
Yeah.
then over at the Ford dealership. So
Okay, and why is that kind of really cool that she's you need, anytime you have the ability to create a relationship with someone else who's in sales, I want you to think of it as your personal BNI. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say the words BNI? BNI is a formal group. It's called Business Networking International. You can join a BNI if you choose to. They typically have folks in there that decide to get together and exchange referrals. Isn't that interesting concept? Or you can do what we've done, old school realtors have done for a billion years, and that's create your very own BNI.
never.
Every own BNI is you create your own realtor connections, right? And you start affiliating with other people who are in sales who maybe can be what I call a rainmaker in your business, okay? Where somebody who knows you, likes you, and trusts you and thinks that you did a great job stops traffic and refers business to you. And other people that are really great for that are car salespeople, okay? Because they run into people all the time.
Brothers.
Yeah, brothers, sisters, yeah. I mean, I had a couple clients who just like were really, you remember I told you if you know financing, one of the most amazing things in the world is if you know where there's money where other people don't know there's money. You know, for example, let me tell you just a teeny tiny bit. We try and bring it to you every time in the sales meetings, and we understand how important financing is. But when you can bring someone, for example, into Cook Inlet housing, and they can get matching down payment funds from an entity, okay? If you can take somebody over to NeighborWorks, and they can get 20% down if they buy into certain areas that they were looking at anyway. If you take someone over to Key Bank, that they have what's called the Key Assist program, where there's condos out there that cannot go FHA financing. So they're really big. There's just a lot of condominiums out there that are just have too many too many rentals, thank you. So they fall out of favor with FHA and VA and Alaska Housing, but they're in the price point of affordability. There are programs out there, you guys.
This program's called what?
It's called Key Assist. Key Assist. There are banks out there, you guys, that mimic FHA and VA financing. Another place that they can get financing, credit unions often can do their own, they can set up their own loan programs. So for example, to give you a clue, Alaska USA Mortgage decided to develop a 10% down payment program for multis instead of a 20% down payment program for multis. So if you know about that program, what can you just do for an investor? You can save them 10% off the bat. By the way, that 10%, if they're at another mortgage company that's charging them 20%, that 10% could be 2 fourplexes, not 1. That could be 2. Do you see what I'm saying? You could get 2 deals out of something, but if I can save you
And then
money,
you get paid twice if anybody
correct.
does that.
Correct. There's my girl. There's my girl. She heard me.
Not to mention, that person is gonna love you forever.
That is correct. And see, that's the magic. So if I didn't tell you this already, you need to, and when I say need, I mean this from the very bottom of my little salesperson heart. You need to make relationships with lenders at every lending company. It is a priority 1. Okay? So if I were selling against you, can I tell you what my day would look like? My day might look different than your day. Okay, so in the morning, what is the first thing I'm doing in the morning? Who remembers?
Hot sheet.
I'm on the hot sheet. Who was on the hot sheet this morning? Nice, good. Two of you are on the hot sheet. So why would you be on the hot sheet in the morning, guys? Because I need to know I need to know exactly what happened with the inventory last night. Okay. Now the second thing I'm doing is I'm making calls in the morning. Okay. My calls might be different than your calls. Does anybody know what I might be doing for calls?
You might spend some time with expired.
I could. Oh, for sure. Yep. For sale by owners, I'm doing my follow-up. I'm doing my what we call lead generating, right? Following up with people. So let me log in, you guys. So I'm also doing something where I am looking to see, you guys, what properties are vacant that I can go preview. And I'm jumping up and I'm driving around, I'm going and looking at vacant properties. Why do I like vacant properties so much, and why do I think it's really important, you guys, that you actually go look at houses instead of just allowing it to be Tuesday at sales meeting when you go on tour, or if you have an active buyer.
That vacant properties are excellent in the right neighborhood to do an open house on.
Yep.
To gain comparison to your listing or property kind of stuff.
So literally from yesterday, you guys, 16 properties came on the market, vacant land, condos, multis, and residentials. Looks like no multis came on. But some vacant land came on, condo came on, a couple condos, and then looks like 7 houses came on. That was from yesterday. Okay. Now, one of the things I'm doing is I'm going to try and go literally if my market area. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways, and I'm an equal opportunity person. If I'm not working with a bunch of multi people, I'm probably not going out and looking at multis. And I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you. I'm probably not driving around looking at vacant land. Can I give you a witness? I'm not going to lie to you. But when it comes to what's new in residential and what's new in condos, I'm telling you right now, I'm in it to win it. And if I can get in one of these properties, I'm trying to make an appointment to get in it. Why would I make an appointment to go preview a listing when I do not have a buyer?
Get in it and leave your card.
Okay. Number 1, I can get it and leave my card. What else?
So you know what the area, what's the home offer in that area or neighborhood because they're all gonna be kind of similar.
Right, so the theory being, and I'm gonna be really honest with you, why am I not gonna go look at properties that are kind of over, probably about 600,000? I'm probably not gonna go over whatever the loan limit is, the FHA loan limit, can I just be really honest? And I wanna say the FHA loan limit is 620, am I right or wrong? I can't remember. I think it's right there. So I'm personally not gonna look at properties that are over $620,000. Now,
To the slow market.
what's that?
It's also the slower market.
You got it, one, it's the dead zone of the market, so I'm probably not gonna go look at it. And I'm also gonna be 1,000% honest with you, I'm not interested in any property that is in foreclosure or is bank owned. Okay, now, I decided to get out of HUDs, bank owned, foreclosures, short sales, a long time ago. And only because they were miserable transactions. Miserable transactions. Unless I've got an investor who's paying cash, then I'm all over it all day long, twice on Sunday. But if I have just a regular Joe family that's trying to buy a foreclosure, what shocks and amazes me every single day is that people who are buying foreclosures are spending more money on a foreclosure than they are on a non-distressed property. So they're paying more because they bid these properties up. They're ending up not getting closing costs paid. They're not getting repairs done. And there's an equal property right next door. And if you start looking at foreclosures, guys, you're going to see something interesting. They're selling for at or above market. And the buyers do not have the ability to negotiate certain things done on them. So I just see that as being, if you could say $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, I'd be showing them every day and twice on Sunday and loving every minute of it. But you can't. You're not. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm not looking at. I'm not doing that. Also, if you've never done, if you are going to, please know this. If you have a buyer who's interested in a HUD property, can I tell you something very important? You are going to sacrifice the next 48 to 72 hours of your life. You have to have wet signatures. There are time differences. You're going to be going out. You better know where FedEx is or you better know where Gold Streak is, okay? Because you're going to be sending documents overnight. If they get kicked back, you have a narrow window of opportunity. And again, we're talking, there are certain entities that require what we call wet signatures. Does anybody know what I mean by a wet signature?
A day old or something.
They have to actually sign with an ink pen. So called a wet signature. They will not take a electronic signature. Also, other entities that will not take electronic signatures, don't be shocked and amazed if a relocation company will not take a wet signature. And then it's not going to shock me if more entities stop taking electronic signatures. Okay, just FYI.
Just the hacking and the, is that right? There's
probably some fraud that's going on with electronic signatures where, quite frankly, and this is the worst one I've ever heard was that husband was divorcing wife, was buying a second property with the wife not knowing that he was doing this, using their credit, their money, getting a divorce, putting her on a 30-year mortgage, doing everything electronically, right? Because he could sign in electronically, sign her signature, and then ended up divorcing her. And she was on, she didn't even know she was on it. She did not buy a house. He bought a house for her using her electronic signature. Long story short. So that was quite interesting. That actually might be on NAR.
In her name and not theirs?
No. In both of them. So basically, he had a plan to go buy another home.
Right. I was just trying to figure out whose name the house was in.
Both.
Okay.
But he then immediately divorced her.
I got that.
You can divorce somebody, but she's stuck 30 years on that mortgage.
And that's what DocuSign, you don't need two separate
Correct email
emails.
addresses.
And that's how they do it, they'll host to one email.
So that's good practice to make sure you always at least once meet both the
For
whole
sure.
couple.
For sure.
Everybody's on the same thing.
For sure. And that's again, one of those reasons why you want to make sure you see the property. There are many licensees who are different than I am. I've never sold a property sight unseen.
So I can buy myself a property and my husband will never know.
Correct. I know Stephanie's over there going, what, say what?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You can buy properties, and never mind, I don't want to give anybody any ideas, but yeah. So, but bottom line, know that that's an issue. And also know that if somebody is in overseas, we really do work to protect our veterans. Do you guys know all about what's called the Alive and Well call? Please do not be shocked and amazed at this. Okay, veterans get protected during the Gulf War. Okay, and that goes all. And I'm talking OG Gulf War, original gangster, going back to 1990. Veterans got their families at home. Moms decided to divorce dads, and dads decided to divorce moms, sell their property and get a divorce while people were overseas. Okay, so that's hugely awful for the family, right? Quite devastating. Then these guys would come back and find out that their house was sold and they had been divorced while they were deployed overseas. So now the military requires what's called an alive and well call. So you are not going to be able to sell a property with someone who is deployed overseas, including if they're in the special forces, including if they are dropped into Kandahar and they are on a secret mission. Okay, they have to have what we call an alive and well call. Okay, meaning that they understand and acknowledge that property is being sold. You also, the military loves to tell people, you guys, to get what's called a general power of attorney that in theory allows you, if you have someone's general power of attorney, you can do anything in their name. However, every title company is going to require that you get a specific power of attorney that actually names the physical address and legal description of the property somebody either wants to sell or buy. Know that this is going to happen and be prepared for it. Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Power of attorney, and I bet there's a specific name for that one.
It's called a specific power of attorney. It's called, I'm for realsy, it's called a specific power of attorney. Okay, and a general power of attorney, people get very frustrated about this, but I'm very sorry. A general power of attorney will not work, nor will, and you also need to go one more step. This is the crazy one. The title company that you're using needs a copy of whatever power of attorney that has been created, and they have to be willing to accept it. And a lot of times they won't accept it unless they create it. FYI. Please know this. Okay, also, please put this in your brain book. You can never, N-E-V-E-R, capital letters, underscore, bold, italic, 80 font. Be someone's power of attorney where you are a real estate licensee receiving commission.
I just had that happen.
Yes, tell me.
Well, she's not military affiliated, but she's getting married on one of my transactions, and I kind of, when we get closer, like after we negotiate repairs and appraisals come in, I always ask, are these dates still, set in stone, or you're not going anywhere? She's like, well, I'm going to go on my honeymoon to Hawaii. I'm like, well, we record. You have, title requires wet signatures. You have to sign, type thing, or we can, send it out in title. So I called title to see, what the options were. And he said, well, she can get a POA, and we can generate that. I'm like, good, because if you generate it, then
they
you
accept it.
will accept it.
That's
Type
great.
thing. And she just has to have someone, POA. She's a friend of a friend of mine, so she's like, well, can you be my POA? And I'm like, I cannot. Due to our relationships on this contract, I would hold a lot of liability, and I don't want, but I will be there, but you would need to have somebody.
And does everybody get that? Because when you have somebody's power of attorney, that means that you can make decisions for them.
Yeah.
And now you're getting paid. So now I'm getting paid to make decisions for you. Now all of a sudden,
Your $300,000 house just became $6.
right, or whatever. For sure, yeah, we don't care if they don't have to pay that closing costs, no problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just get the deal done. No, we'll accept that as-built survey from
1942.
yeah, sure. That's
It
great.
seems like you want to help them. Like I kind of have that attitude. Like she's a friend of a friend. I'm like,
Of course.
I want to go. But then when I ask Larry's like, no.
No.
He's like, no.
You can't do it when you have a financial interest in the property. The only time you can be a power of attorney, guys, but you still need to get Gabe's approval and permission, and know that we're always going to say it's a bad position to be put in, yes, your significant other, spouse, child, but I'm even gonna tell you, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean, you wanna, remember when I say about stay in your lane? You wanna have some very strict guidelines, some very strict rules, okay. So knowing finance, who has made appointments with lenders? You need to get out of home state, you need to get out of residential, you need to get out of, Wells Fargo. Okay, you need to go make relationships with other lending companies. How do you do that? Tell me how you would do that.
Walk in and say hi and make an appointment. If they're busy, you make an appointment to come back, and if they're not busy, you stay in touch.
I probably would tell you I don't love drop-bys. How about you? I don't like sales calls and I don't like drop-bys. But what I would tell you might be really smart to do is to call, for example, First National Bank, or go online. First National Bank has only a few lenders, and I'll tell you why, because they actually are salary positions and they are not on commission. Why would that make a difference if you had a salary position or commission? I'm not saying they do a better job. As a matter of fact, I could argue they're on salary and they're not that motivated. I could argue you there.
Which bank?
First National Bank. So First National Bank, their mortgage lending department, of which, and FYI, I do want to share something with you. Does everyone in here know that First National Bank is the second highest, most conservative rated bank in the entire United States? I think they're behind Riggs National Bank. They're the second most conservative, so meaning they're the most, not just conservative, but they're the most stable bank in the United States. They're not, they're their market, but you know, they're really proud of themselves.
Yes.
Salary positions, I felt like would treat everybody the same. That's my expectation. Like,
For sure.
You're not a high roller. You're not bringing all this business, so everybody's going to go down the list and they're going to be top dog. I mean,
Well, I think the difference is people who work on commission for example, the folks who work in home state, they work on commission. They're highly motivated to get your deal done, because if they don't get that deal done, they don't make their house payment and their car payment. People who work on salary, their house payment and their car payment is made. They are not going to call you back in the evenings. They are not going to meet you on weekends. They're not going to be as service oriented to you. They're not true salespeople.
They ain't proactive.
I'm positive.
They're really, so I will tell you, if you wanna really impress an older person in the state, or you really want to impress another licensee, the absolute solid gold platinum standard, what I would call the black Amex card, is a 90% letter from First National Bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're more likely to work together. If someone is not there, someone could fill in and help them out, whereas when it's competitive, you may not have someone to help you out.
Why is that a problem?
So is residential mortgage on salary?
No, those guys, no, those are on commission. But what am I trying to, what is my point? What am I trying to tell you? So if I am if I'm original gangster, old school licensee, and you bring me a 90% letter from First National Bank, not only is that buyer super well qualified and super well vetted, okay, I know this loan is going to close, because they will not issue a 90% letter. Their 90% letters are almost considered 110% letters. Now, there was a company that used to, has anybody ever heard of a company called Countrywide? They're infamous. Infamous, right? So Countrywide used to actually issue something that was called a it was a letter. It was a letter of guarantee that if you had this letter, a seller knew that your loan was already approved. Okay, so it was called a letter of guarantee. Okay, so when I received that letter of guarantee, what did I know?
Solid deal.
This is a done deal. This buyer is totally qualified. Okay, it doesn't matter what the house is. It doesn't matter anything. If they write an offer with this letter of guarantee, that loan is closing. Okay, we used to like that a lot when we were listing agents and we got those. What did we later find out about Countrywide? Anybody know what we found out about Countrywide?
Yeah, they were approved incumbent, and they had to the people up from Seattle to staff the offices, because we had a house loan with them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'd go down there in person and I'd say, and who are you and where are you from? And you know what to do with this mortgage check? I mean, it was awful. And then they sold.
FYI, Anchorage, Alaska made national news with Countrywide. We had a mortgage originator who went to the FBI, and we had other mortgage originators who were indicted in Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage, Alaska. Countrywide.
What crime, what actually?
Many, mortgage, they were actually, Mozilla was the owner of Countrywide. He was infamous. He started the no doc loan. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? No income, no verification. It was called a stated income loan. So I could be, ready? I could be a waitress at Denny's making minimum wage and tips. I could go in and say that I made whatever amount of money I wanted. No one checked, no one verified. I could go and buy $1 million home and sign for it.
Why is it business lender?
What's that?
Why is it business lender?
I'm not answering. I don't understand your question.
Okay, why Countrywide? How is it business in Countrywide?
Countrywide is out. It's out of business because of that practice. They imploded. I'm sure that there was a lot of money laundering going on there. Okay. Okay. So anytime you guys can I tell you when you know you're dealing with fraudulent lenders? Fraudulent lenders don't want you providing documentation. Okay. They don't want you, we had a lender over here at someone saying, oh, go over here. They're not charging an origination fee. Okay. If a bank isn't charging an origination fee, can I tell you what they are charging? Some other detrimental thing to the buyer in order to waive the origination fee. Or you can have so for example, here's my favorite practice. Oh, it pisses me off. Well, there's no origination fee over here. Now, by the way, origination fee, for just so everybody knows, is commission on the loan. Did you get that? Just like we have commission on, we have in our MLS, you have the selling side commission, right? Okay, and the listing licensee has a listing and they have a commission on either side. Everybody good with that? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool, good to know. Moving on down the line, a origination fee, just so you know, is how the mortgage company pays its people and pays its bills. Is that super simple to understand? Mm-hmm. So if I'm charging no origination fee, how am I in business? What other fees am I charging in order to pay my people? Because I'm not doing it for free. So that means I can charge a higher interest rate and not charge an origination fee. FYI, boys and girls, is that to the benefit of my buyer? Probably not. Unless they don't need unless they're willing to pay a higher interest rate. Can I tell you there are buyers out there, are you ready to be shocked and amazed, who are willing to pay a higher interest rate? There's a specific purpose for it. Okay. Tax deduction. Oh, very good. Tax deduction. Because they have no other way to they make so much money.
I wish I had that problem.
Right? Isn't that a first world problem? Can I get into that tax bracket where I'm looking for things to lose money, or I'm looking for things to be charged higher for me so that I can write it off on my taxes? Isn't that okay? So how would my day be if I was a real estate licensee selling against you right now? Every day I'd be on the hot sheet. I'd be looking and I'd be touring properties. I'd be looking at all over the city. I would get my butt out of my chair and I'd be going and looking everywhere. I'd be finding neighborhoods that I don't know anything about. Once I really kind of knew the inventory, then I would start looking at what builders are building, what subdivisions are going up, what condos are being built, what are the different builders building, what are their different amenities, okay, and all of that. Why would I do that with builders? Why would that be important to you?
You know what's coming up.
Okay, I want to start because I can walk into a Spinell property and I can be like, oh, this is a drop lily. What's that mean?
Floor plan.
It's a floor plan. Oh, this is a Sabra. They just built a Sabra. What's the difference? Okay, if I can walk in and I know that, does that seem a little bit more legit to a buyer? Okay,
And a lot of times too, like buyers don't understand on new construction, you can't make an offer, like, that's the price. So if you know the amenities and you know what type of floor plans and you know what they can to encompass the, you know, I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, I had one that was trying to lowball, I'm like, new construction, they own all of this. They're not gonna accept a lowball offer to affect all the other.
exactly, that's exactly, and
But
that,
what we can do
Yeah.
is we can ask for closing costs,
Yeah.
or we can ask for, upgrades,
to be paid.
Yeah.
I gotta jump in on that.
Yes, please.
Because I watched this last summer.
Okay.
All this new construction going on in the ranch in Mosilla. And, I'd always been told you can't lowball contractors, they might, this is their percentage of profit anyway, blah, blah, blah. No. Then I started seeing those brand new constructions going down $10, $20, and $30,000.
But that's a very unique market and it is very overbuilt. And you can watch it too. So here's something else that you'll know. If a builder starts, and this is why it's so important for you to come to sales meetings and for you to listen to your other colleagues and for you to be out in the market, okay? And here's the reason. So in Wasilla and in the Mat-Su Valley, as you probably, I hope all of you know, there is so much vacant land that's easily developable, and they have a less onerous building process than they do in the municipality of Anchorage. Did you like how I said that? Less onerous.
It's true.
Okay.
The building codes are a lot different.
A lot different. So my sister gets upset with me. My sister is the broker of the office in the Mat-Su Valley for Jack White. Okay, hi Patty. I'm gonna say it. You did it. You ready? Here we go. You can build a house with 2 picks and a Toyo stove, and you can call it a house in the Mat-Su borough. You can build it and you can sell it, and it can be called a single family structure. You cannot do the same thing in Anchorage, Alaska. You are gonna find some of the most crazy construction you have ever seen. And when I say toothpicks and Toyo stoves, I am not exaggerating if you haven't seen the fun out in the valley yet, okay?
Hence the larger profit.
They are building some beautiful.
But they are beautiful.
And they're
Stunning.
$200,000.
$200,000 ranch homes on acre lots. Stunning, stunning, stunning. 1,600 square feet is normal. I think I can describe to you a valley home. $220,000 acre lot, 1,500 to 1,600 square feet, right about, double car garage, beautiful, stunning, stunning. What's the problem?
Everybody else that has a $200,000 home before they started building those.
Okay, there's one. What's another one? Oh, there you go. Now you hit it on the head. How much money when gas was $4 a gallon? I used to have, you need to actually, with somebody who really commutes and has commuted for a long time, ask them how much they spend a month in fuel.
Well, if you're driving 2 hours a day,
Yeah.
that means that you're driving for 1 month, 24/7 back and forth. So you tell me how much fuel it takes to keep your car going for 24/7 for a month.
Now, and also, can I also tell you something that's super important for you to think about for buyers, guys? People, especially if they're from out of state, especially if you come from the lower 48, or if you come from a state where you really have never interacted with snow before or bad roads, people who come from the lower 48 don't have a problem with an hour commute. As a matter of fact, they're like, hour commute, that's nothing. Okay, if you come from California, in certain areas, especially on the I-5 corridor, they're like, hour commute, what are you talking about? That takes an hour sometimes to cross the street in LA. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not very much. It's very long commute times. So when you talk about, oh, you can be out in the valley, you can see all this majestic beauty, and you get the price point is lower, and they're already used to paying the fuel cost. They're already used to the hours of driving. What they're not used to, however, is the road conditions. Okay? They're also not used to the dark. Do you know what I'm saying? Driving in the dark and that type of thing. Both ways, you know, so. Correct. They're also not used to the fact that their little Hyundai won't make it. You know, that they need to have probably a little bit upgraded, better vehicle, sometimes 4-wheel drive and that type of thing. So please be very careful about talking about the valley with someone. It's really, I love it. It's beautiful. It has so many amenities, it's really growing, but the problem can be, it could be the wrong move for someone, you know, for a family, you know, just be careful about that. But anyway, in the valley, yes, you can get, bless you, you can get these beautiful, stunning homes, which also means that a $500,000 house out in the valley looks to be about $1 million house here in Anchorage. Does that also?
They're paying the same for construction, same wages, same material costs. The land's cheaper, I understand that. But is it a $200,000 difference on the land?
It can be.
The building code makes me nervous because, you know, you don't know what's underneath that drywall. It could be shit building.
And by the way, you're also doing, there's a controversy, and I want to be very careful. I don't want to offend anyone, but there's a number of different builders that are building out in the valley that people think are a little not very reputable. Okay, so you need to be really careful. You want to talk with your colleagues who are working out of that office and find out what builders are considered to be reputable and what builders are considered to be unreputable. There's unreputable builders that are now out of business, guys. And it used to be kind of common for builders to go in and out of business. It's less common now. Does that make sense? It's less common now. So you want to make sure, you know, and a lot of people want to give some builders a lot of crap. You know, we've got some builders that have been in business for a very long time and have built a lot of Anchorage, okay? But here's what I'm going to tell you. If they're still in business after having built for 20, 30, and 40 years, that means that while you may not love everything about them, or what we call a production builder versus a custom builder. Does everybody understand what I mean by production versus custom? Let's talk Fiat versus, or let's talk Yugo versus Ferrari. I get it. Okay, I get it. But here's the gig. This guy's still in business. That tells you something. That tells you something. That tells you about they honor their warranty. They're financially capable with the banks. They paid their subs. Anybody know how important it is that people pay their subcontractors? Okay. They've taken care of warranty problems. Did I already say that?
They're consistent.
Right. So FYI, don't be a hater on people who've been building and building Anchorage and building our state for years and that are still in business. That should be very impressive to you, and you should also communicate that very strongly to customers. Because and I'm going to use a name. Okay, I get really irritated when people say, "Oh, Spinell Construction, they just build shit." I get really irritated with that. He's an excellent builder. He can build anything. He can also build custom homes, and the man's still in business when about 50 or 60 other builders are not. Correct.
Yeah.
So FYI, I have enough of that. Okay, just between you and me and the lamppost. Okay. Okay. Just for fun, right? Just for fun.
It also shows that they obey the law. Like
Correct.
Obey the code.
Correct. Correct.
If they're still breathing.
Correct. I mean, it's a big, and it's always interesting when you hear some of this perspective. He does build, though, production builds. So you know what I'm talking about there? I mean,
Lowest cost of
production.
material.
Well, it's not necessarily cost-wise. He does big subdivisions. But that also means that he stood the test of time, and he shows by, it's called performa and performance, that he can actually get the job done. He's worked with the municipality for years, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm done. Ran off.
It's
Okay.
gonna be me in 40 years.
I know.
Haters gonna hate, but Stephanie's still gonna be here.
Right? Exactly. All right. So while we're moving forward, Karen, what have you done in real estate since I've seen you last?
I've been working with floor call, and she finally contacted me last night that she wants to go look at property.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, she's gonna do a HELOC loan, and she has $610,000.
So I want everybody to know, what is a HELOC loan? What could a buyer do right now if they have it?
Home equity line of credit. I just learned that.
Yep.
I'm like, what is she talking about? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Home
But I
equity
had
line
to
of
call a
credit.
lender.
What does that mean? So if I have an existing home anywhere in the United States and I want to purchase additional property, I can pull my equity out of my home on a home equity line of credit if my lender allows. And I can maybe cash out another property. That's also called pyramiding and leveraging. Does anybody know that? Okay. Anybody want to be, we'll take our break and I'll tell you how to be a millionaire. Would you like to be a millionaire in 10 years?
Yeah.
Would you like to be a millionaire in 10 years,
It's been 10
Karen?
years already, so yeah.
Okay, so Karen, are you ready to make this like really work? Okay, I'll
Let's
show
do
you.
this.
Okay. Okay, right? Does that sound good? Okay. I can make you a millionaire on paper and I can make you a true millionaire in 15 years.
You said 10.
Yeah. It takes you
Yeah.
10 years, it takes you 10 years to put it under your belt, and then it takes you 15 years to where I said you can be a true millionaire on paper in 10 years, and I can make you a true millionaire in 15 years, a real legit millionaire. Okay, if you care, if you want to know, I can share. So that's called leveraging and pyramiding, okay? Okay, all right, so awesome. So Karen, you're going to go into contract,
I hope so.
okay?
But it was a floor call from like January, and it just came just because I kept poking and kept sending her emails and stuff like that.
Okay,
And I would think like 610,000, you're a teacher here, you work here.
so what do you
Somebody-
think, what do you think made the difference? Do you think it was just your persistence and consistency?
Yeah, like what I even got like emails at 11, and I just send her like even just making the contact of sure I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Okay,
You know, she's saying that she really appreciated the responsiveness.
what does that tell you, everybody? Yeah, yeah, return phone calls, it's a big deal, you know, okay. Marianne, what have you done real estate since I've seen you last?
Like I said, I exchanged cars, and I'm trying to get more familiar with, that was actually, because I'm not very familiar with, so I've been trying to do tutorials.
Nice.
Because, yeah, and like, it was a long day yesterday before I even got subway, it's just, I had no more energy than I.
Gotcha.
Make sure I get lunch.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of a slow day as far as real estate goes.
Okay. All right, do you have any other client in the works?
Yeah, in fact, I have an appointment on Tuesday, May 2nd. Like I was saying, this woman wants me to come look at her house, tell her what she needs to do to get it on the market. Her and her husband gets on Sunday because they want to downsize and get a ranch. But the house is built in 1969. It's a big house, like a raspberry
Shavigny.
Yeah, and so she's the one who texted me. We got a brand new furnace. It's about 10 years ago.
Right. Oh, I love that.
And then she
Nice.
said, I know, and so I'm thinking 1969, she's calling her furnace brand new and a brand new hot water tank. That's about 10 years ago we got the furnace. And
Do you remember what I was telling you, that a
thinking,
seller's
how am I going
perspective
to
is it's
approach
brand
this?
new. I
you
just
know,
did it.
I'm just afraid I'm going to see a house filled with all these, things and carpet. She got that quite a few years ago too. She says, I know we're going to need new carpet. That I know. And her husband's, he was out of town, and he said, she's going to have lots of questions for you when you get here. I said, oh, that's awesome. I can have, I'll have everything ready, And I did her a CMA, 12 pages. I said, I've got it here for you, but basically I said, realize it's a sight unseen,
Right.
but we'll have something to talk about.
Great.
And then that sheet that Ari sent us, I will share that. I didn't want to send it ahead of time,
Sure.
So she's excited, and then so I'm going to be here Tuesday, because I have to do Tuesday. So I'm kind of also YouTubing how to approach people
Good.
who that think their house is a lot of brand new in it.
Yeah, and how do you talk to people? How do you talk to people
Yeah.
about what the
And
reality?
so I don't think they're going to list it right away, because obviously there's going to be some work that needs to be done. So I may not show it to this one with the lockbox and so on. So
Not a problem.
I'm going to have a different plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Surprise Tuesday.
Okay, have we heard about your license yet? Not yet. We can check. We'll check on the break. So, Zena, what have you done in real
Yeah.
estate since I've seen you last?
Went to dinner with clients of mine. That was fun, and I think I love just always staying connected to people, and they're actually, they were friends of my husband who are now friends of mine. So we went to dinner the other night and talked, and that was good. And then I have a new client coming on deck in my Fort Sure house. They rented a storage and they've been cleaning.
Great.
And, because we talked about what it would take to get shelved, she also is probably gonna have lower back surgery, so this thing's kind of slow because I'll talk to her, she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna fly on my back, I gotta work for a week, I'm like, okay, don't worry.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of going with her time to be. So I want to go see her this afternoon to see what progress they've made on the house and, see if it's ready for pictures.
Gotcha.
And then set a listing date. We're having to move slow with that one, but this will be a ranch that's gonna come on the market with an oversized garage, updated, 1,400 square feet, 2 full bathrooms,
Is it in the,
in the river on a big corner lot.
what do you think price point?
I'd like, she really wants to go mega high,
Yeah.
because her best friend in Homer said she could get this price.
Right, because her best friend is Homer.
Crazy.
I love it. I love real estate experts everywhere.
Well, she is a realtor in Homer.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
And nothing I've said has been able to beat that.
Two
She
things.
goes, what?
2 things for your customer. A card table, and Walmart sells smaller boxes. So if she's got back problems, have her buy the smaller boxes because those big boxes are heavy.
Oh, yeah, her husband and teenagers.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
If you put a card table in a room, the box is not on the floor, you're not always bent over.
That's a super, that is.
My
a-
husband and I both have a lot of back problems. And even if you put it on a chair or
That's
something,
a
put it up off the floor.
That's a super good.
Well, okay, so she wants to go 340.
And what are you thinking?
I think she put herself up there with a brand new construction by Troy Davis in Eagle River.
How does it compare?
It's 1970,
Okay.
updated, and it's a brand new construction. With granite countertop.
Right.
So, but you know, when I talked to her about that, it just doesn't go in. I mean, her best friend told her. She could. So, I mean, crazy things come on the market.
You know,
How about this one? I've been fighting with this one. 900 square foot. It's a little chalet on a wood foundation, no garage.
Oh, vomit, vomit, vomit.
275 gone in 3 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well,
I know, and isn't it the truth? This is the rub about real estate. This is why we can't not work with overpriced listings. Okay, because you think it's never gonna sell.
Yeah.
But then some other yahoo puts the same piece of crap on the market and it goes in 2 days and you look like an idiot.
and you have a comp though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I mean, I don't get to, when a seller wants to put a property on the market that's high, I have a plan. What's my plan? It's the price reduction plan,
Written into the contract.
written into my listing contract. Absolutely, I've been a seller. And by the way, I want as much equity as I can possibly get in my pocket. As a matter of fact, if I could get that equity and pay your fee, then I feel really super good. I don't want to leave $1 on the table for good night, guys. I don't want to leave a dime on the table. So I always say, yes, let's shoot the moon and let's give each other a reasonable amount of time. And I say, I allow a little bit longer than a lot of people do. Some people say 2 weeks. And I'm like, screw that. I'll give you 45 to 60 days because I'm taking a 6-month listing at least, or I'll take an 8-month listing with the additional 2 months of wasted marketing time. But I also tell them, hey, FYI, okay, I'm gonna burn 60 days. I'm willing to burn 60 days on the market at your price, but I'm not doing a bunch of marketing on this property. Because if you're right, it's gonna sell. If I'm right, it's gonna take marketing. I'm gonna put my marketing dollars at the price I think it's gonna sell at. Does that make sense to you?
yeah. So you don't do the 2 weeks squeeze. You let them.
No,
you let it ride.
No, I let him go because, by the way, I learned a long time ago. I used to fight and beat up on sellers, and I used to make them basically my enemy. And then it was a fight every single thing I told them from then on.
Yeah.
Because you're beating me up on price, and blah blah blah. Now they're asking for closing costs. Now they're asking for repairs. I just kept beating them up. But then when I became their friend and I just said, sure, I'll try it your way because I don't want you to lose a dime because I'm going to have to come to you and I'm going to have to ask you for a check for the appraisal. I'm going to have to ask you for a check for the resale certificate. An offer is going to come in. We're going to have to negotiate closing costs. And then we're going to have to go negotiate repairs. I want you to have as many dollars in your pocket as humanly possible because I'm gonna be asking you for dollars. So I'm totally willing to do that. What I'm not willing to do, however, I'm willing to keep your flyer box full. I'm willing to do, I may or may not be willing to do opens at that price point. For good God's sake, I could be embarrassed at that price point.
My office is gonna give me great.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. But what can I do? But what I can do is I can say I've got an auditor. But you and I are gonna agree that the market will speak. Will it not?
Yeah.
The market will speak.
And then they can't get mad
Totally
at
agree
you.
with that. She totally agrees with that.
Yeah.
And she can't get mad at you. Let's say you gave her the length of time, it didn't sell, so you dropped the price and you're getting offers.
Yeah.
Now, if you had started with a low price, she might come back to you and say, I knew we should have gone higher.
Exactly. And they do. And then they second guess every single thing you say. So when I make you my friend and I agree with you, yeah, sure, I'll do that. But I just need you to know a couple things. Here's what I'm willing to do, and here's what I'm not willing to do. Because these are, by the way, Mr. Seller, these are my marketing dollars. If you want to pay the ads in the newspaper, if you want to pay for the color copies, if you want to pay for this, and this, during that period of time, I'm absolutely willing to do it. So how do you like being a willing spirit? I'm absolutely willing to do that.
That's great, and that makes me feel a lot better, because I already ran the property around at the office and talked about price, so I was doing comps for her in the beginning, and man, a lot of pressure to not let your client go there, and I'm like, what?
You know, and here's the
I'd rather
deal.
be a willing spirit.
Be a willing spirit. Be a willing spirit. Make this person your friend. You know, and by the way, at the end of the day, if you're right, one of two things are going to happen. Are you ready? You're going to be right, or they're going to be right. How do you like them apples? If they're right, I didn't fight you, and by the way, I made more money.
Exactly.
I mean, it's incremental. It's so dumb. It's incremental. What is a 3% on $10,000?
300?
$300. So I made $300 extra dollars for shooting the moon, and I made a friend for life. And now they think I'm awesome because I listened to them. And then if I'm right, I've given them the opportunity, and I'm still going to treat them with dignity and respect when the market speaks to them. And then when it comes down and I start marketing the property, I'm still going to sell the property, and I'm going to make ready $300 less than I would have made if it sold at the other price point. Am I going to seriously ruin a relationship or create an enemy over $300? Are you serious? That's dumb. That's dumb. You guys are smart. Don't be dumb. Be smart. Does anybody know a guy by the name of Jim Murphy? Do we know who Jim Murphy is?
He was mentioned to me by a bunch of consultants from the oil field or military base.
Yep.
Fairbanks.
Yep. So he's probably one of the number one in the MLS. He's one of the number one top producing real estate licensees. Okay. He worked for our company for a long time. And hopefully, Jim, you will be back. He took an overpriced listing, and he said he used to crack me up because I used to hate overpriced listings, right? Because I wanted to price it right and sell it, price it right and sell it, price it right and sell it. Plus, I'm a big right fighter. I like to be right. I like to be like, no, your house is going to sell for $352,924. That's what it's going to sell at. That's what it's going to appraise at. And that's what it's going to sell at, because I'm super smart. And I know the market. I've been doing this a long time. And I'm right. And he said, he just would laugh at me. And he goes, I love overpriced listings. I take them all day long. He had one house, and we're talking in one of the most expensive subdivisions. You may know where Lilac is off of Upland. These are $1.52 million homes. He had an overpriced listing, and he said that thing was a cash cow. He got like 6 or 7 other listings off of it. He got 20 or 30 other buyers off of it. And he's like, he goes, Teresa, I think I want you to rethink this. I said, you're telling me I'm an idiot. He goes, I'm not saying you're an idiot, but I want you to rethink this. He literally said to me, he's like, I would buy that house myself just to have it listed.
Oh.
It got me so much business. I would buy that house myself just to keep it listed. Can you even imagine having that mindset?
Yeah, I love it.
Isn't that amazing?
Gutsy move.
Yeah, but he proved it. He's like,
Yeah.
let me show you every phone call I got off of this listing. Here it is. Let me show you every listing appointment I went off of this listing. Here it is. Let me show you every buyer call I got off of this listing. Here it is. Let me show you every buyer I put into contract on another property that I used this listing to do what? As a lead generator to get phone calls that got me in over here. Yes, ma'am.
So I said, okay, so after we went through the comps, I said, so you can see your price, your top dog on the market here, just to let you know, so that's great, this is what I recommend, let's make this baby shine. You wanna be top dog in the market, then let's make it as beautiful as possible. So then I went down that track. You could consider a repaint, because boy, it'll make it pop, fresh. Hadn't been painted since 2010. So just some things. You have mismatched door trim on this one bathroom, you might consider changing that just to give it continuity. So I kind of shifted from that to that.
Yep.
I still kind of held the worry, like, oh my gosh, but followed her thing. And so, yeah, that's what I did.
Awesome. But at the end of the day, I'm no longer afraid to take an overpriced listing because I have a strategy. And my strategy is I'm going to use it as a loss leader. You guys all know when you go into stores, they have something called a loss leader in the store. Does anybody like me? I plan what I eat the next week off the grocery ads from the Sunday paper. Maybe you don't do that. Are you laughing at me?
I do that.
Do you do that? Right, because I go by what's on what? Sale. And I take a look at what are the prices over here compared to what are the prices over here. So does everybody know all that stuff that's in that ad is what they call a lost leader. So they're offering you, bananas at 10 cents a pound, or I'm making it up, so that you'll walk in the door because you'll spend $150 on groceries. So they'll lose on this to gain all of this, okay? Plus you'll go buy a can of paint, plus you'll go buy a rug and a pillow, plus you'll go buy a pair of shoes and a bra, okay? Right? Because you'll walk around Fred Meyer with me and you'll be like, well, I need one of those. I need one of those, and I need one of those. See what
Then
I'm
you
saying?
tell me, I thought you were just gonna get 2 things.
I did get 2 things.
Help me with the bags.
Plus $200 other dollars, $200 other dollars. So do you see my point though? They lost lead you. Okay, so FYI, think of some listings as lost leaders, and it's okay. When you think about it like a lead generator, what does it do to the pressure?
Nothing, now I'm excited.
Right? You're just like, what the hell? Okay, now that I think about it like Jim Murphy, I feel like, you idiot. You know how many listings I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take your listing.
Right.
Because it's overpriced.
Right.
He's like, oh, he started laughing. He's like, did you really say that? And I'm like, yeah, because I want to sell my listings. He's like, I want every one of those numbers for people that you wouldn't list with.
Right.
Because I will.
Along those same lines, we're always looking for those referrals and the people that just love you and they just talk about you, Well, those are all great, fun and dandy, but if you can find a gentleman or a woman that is reputable, but as ornery as all get out, hates everything, never has a good word to say, and you can work that person to give you a good reference, when they never say anything positive,
right.
and now they're talking about Mary Ann over at Jack White and lifting her up, that means 100 times more than Susie Q, who loves everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He's not easy to work with, but you need 1 or 2 of those. I've made a third of my business in the past off of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? You don't want to work with that person because they're really right, but maybe that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I know that you got locked out of your house. Okay. So, Sho, what have you done in real estate since you last? You had a listing appointment. I want to hear how did it go.
It went pretty well. They are pretty friends of my mother.
Okay, lovely.
They are a senior family.
Okay.
And all the children are living off of them still. So kind of-
They're like my kids. What? I'm sorry.
they're in their 80s and they have a 22 square foot, 4-bedroom.
2,200
2,200
square foot, 22 square feet. I think that's the size of
300
the table.
square feet, car garage, 4 bedrooms. They are looking for a ranch in Eagle River, a decent lot, and
Oh my gosh, did we just make a sale?
and they don't want to go in debt to do it. So their house is probably worth about $345.
So Zena, I'm so happy you came to class today. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to class. Okay, so this is a match made in heaven. If this property is not on the market yet, and they have first look at it, that could be amazing.
And your interest rate, or not delivered?
No, I just got to deliver.
Okay, and then Jim, we're gonna take our 10-minute break and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about Jimmy. Jimmy Sparks.
Don't say anything until I get back.
I promise. Look at me. How do you like them apples? I have to get something to eat.
But I think you asked us what's better.
So lead generator. I know, right?
Even if it's on board for 6 months, yes.
Don't let the haters in the office talk you out of things. Be like, you know what, you do you, I'll do
I'm not
me.
even asking him anymore.
I'll just do what you can do. And I have given you permission to do what? Take a list, take over price list, take over price listing, because you never know,
You never
it
know.
just might sell, look at that.
And, you know, I should, I mean, I have to leave, I mean, code and stuff, I call her after she goes by and she's very slow. Yeah. Because I put your name in the phone, yeah. Yeah. I used to look at. I don't call it one way, because for some reason, maybe I'm in the other one.
Like she was saying, staying on top of this, I do that too, I have time to go to that.
Yeah,
Just call them out of the blue, if they think that this is going on the market, or send them something out of the blue.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's one one we had already, we can celebrate. But it's because of access content. And so we can't charge the still content access, because it was kind of, they have to push it back, you know, so they have to set it back. Or when you were originally thought they were going to do, it's hard to get back. Yeah, we sold it in that. We had it on the marketplace.
because the ranch is over there, across the highway, and that's what they go.
And I think that's what, you know, they did with the line, we bought the line, and then we bought it 5 years later, and she was big. And, I don't, she realized how much people she didn't love it, and, we got it. I mean, really like that. Yeah, we have it. It is pretty. And we looked at it 6 years. We bought that from out here, and he said we bought that, the lot was very good, we didn't get that much. So, if we were set more forward, we wouldn't have done it. So it's one of those houses that we just didn't we didn't lose. No, we didn't in the end, it was still, we didn't have a percentage. Better than you think. Yeah, because we bought the rent, so we started putting raises and prices higher. Because like right next to it, it's 20,000. And then we turned on them. So, yeah. But it was only 18 spaces for that. It was a little, but very it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It was just, but yeah, we.
Camera go on?
Oh, I got a text message.
Oh, okay.
I have-
Look like a flash.
I was taking pictures of you. I'm just kidding. No, I have all the handicap settings on my phone and my iPad, so they both flash when I get messages or phone calls or whatever.
You know, they work. I guess she just didn't want to say that.
Was asking my husband if they like take your kids working.
Oh, was that today?
Yeah, and he said that they got to drive a mini excavator.
Oh, good. That's fun.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And that's sugar. I had.
So is this. Mmm.
Yeah.
I think we can never get rid of sugar.
No, I have to have.
This is my second
sugar
one,
card.
honey Kim.
Look at me talking. And feel free to get chips. And I have tea. Is that tea? Is that better? Remember I used to have that green tube like that?
It's stuck with a special flavor.
It's from Celestial Tea, but it's for yeah, we call it something.
Oh. That's great.
It's not overpriced.
So smart. I kind of get, you know, like, you always want to like do the best for your clients.
This is what I do, 80 once a month. I will stick in a house that's overpriced, beautiful, and put in a lot of food. That's how I met people. And I don't know anyone that would ever, like, seriously, I have no friends here. I don't know anyone. How am I gonna get people out?
Ditto, ditto, ditto. I don't know
Jim's
anybody
actually
either.
really good. He's got so much business, like new generation systems and stuff like that, that he like even I think he even went to streets and asked, you know, refer me some of your new people. And Terry. Yeah. Terry Alice got a lot of his referrals. They used to work Terry's files. He got a lot of
That's cool. You know, you just mentioned to me like this consultant that were being here back then. Some of them are from here. You know, Jim Murphy was in Japan. And he said, I heard his name, but I haven't met him in person.
yeah. I went to KW.
And this lady that I'm doing the same thing, was this listing in 2014, but she pulled out of the market. And I met this lady at my open house last Sunday. She perfect. And she probably stayed here for like an hour. And then now we're like buddies on TV. But then I made a statement. I think she's happy. Yeah, she had resisted but the value of the home is not correct there.
Wow.
But it's a custom home. I think that I just was talking about that house yesterday. I think I'm gonna stick some out again. Especially like the price. Just meet people. I'm gonna feed these people, make them. I'm not selling them anything.
Right.
I don't even care because I kind of know that.
Well, they said they know when it's our break time, we all go over there and eat. She's like, sugar and caffeine, here they come. I'm like, oh, you gotta remember.
You like it, Jimmy?
Okay, Jim, I want to hear about your day in real estate yesterday.
Today,
Mm-hmm.
All the days are blending together.
I was dealing with, Yansha.
Yeah, let's talk about your two deals. So one of the things I think is really interesting about real estate, you guys, is when it rains, it pours. Would you agree with that? And your business starts off as a, it feels like this, I look at it like the space shuttle sitting at Cape Canaveral. Where you've got this really expensive aircraft that ain't taking off. Anybody else feel that way about your business?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's just
I
not.
wouldn't say I was ignoring you.
Well, at least she's honest. Okay. What were you saying? When you first start your business, doesn't it feel like it's, you're spending a ton of money like NASA does to get the space shuttle together?
Yeah.
Then it's just sitting on the launch pad, and every day you're no-go for launch because you don't have any business.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get a few things popping, and then that big behemoth starts taking off. How do you keep that behemoth going into orbit? More business, more prospecting. So let's talk about your space shuttle launching.
Well, the Yansha family, they wanted to move in pre-op.
On what? Let's give them a little bit more background. You've been working a pre-foreclosure
Right.
for a long time. You've been doing, and the funny, can I tell them the funny story? Okay, so did I tell you guys about driving down Jewel Lake Road and seeing open house signs out and calling Jim and saying, I'm so impressed. It's during the day, you have open house signs up and down Jewel Lake Road, and I live here. I just want to say congratulations. I think that's awesome. And he says, okay. He's like, thanks for calling. And then he said, you want to come in? Do you want to come into the house? And I go, no. You want to come over? And I'm like, no, Jim, I don't want to come over. I just want to say congratulations on the sign. And he goes, who is this? And I said, it's Teresa Block. And he's like, oh my God! You thought I was somebody else.
I thought she was Teresa Bruni, who looks after our cat. And comes over to the house on the weekends when I'm not home. And I was like, come on over, the door's open.
And I'm like, no, I'm not going to, but thank you. So anyway, that's funny. But you have been consistently doing opens at the same property for weeks. And tell me what that's been about.
79th is, it's not a really, it has a retaining wall that's leaning for 100 feet on the neighbor's apartment building. And so it's a big objective. And the power's off, there's no light, no heat, it's really cold in there, it's not clean, you wear your shoes in. But the property looks really good on paper, it looks good on the MLS. So I was thinking, and it's priced really low, the price at 82, 270, down to 255. So I said, on paper, this should bring in buyers, yeah, prospects. So I just kept running that, and then when no one was there, I was in my truck. And last Saturday, the Yansha family came in, and they wanted to purchase the home, and they wanted to do early occupancy. And so they got approved and everything, but there was $1,000 utility bill that the previous owners had on the utilities, and they wanted us to pay it, as part of the deal. And we said, no, we're not going to pay it. And then they came in to sign the counter offer, but they were really concerned about these utilities. And so they weren't going to sign a big work yesterday until they found out about that. So we ended up calling Shubiak and finding out exactly what they needed. They said just an ID and an early occupancy form saying that they're under contract and upon approval, then they could go in there and just start their own account. And so we got them under contract yesterday.
Okay. Okay. But it was touch and go there for a minute. How come it was touch and go?
We didn't really have the knowledge the
Right.
exact parameters of
Correct.
what they needed and what was actually.
Right, so these folks were not willing to sign until they found out what their financial obligation would be. And by the way, I'm that girl, I totally get that. And and Jim was doing exactly the right thing by asking for the sale and asking them to sign, and you could just see this guy pull his pen back. He literally just pulled back and he pulled his pen off the table. What is that? He's not comfortable. He's not comfortable signing. When somebody has their pen over a piece of paper and then they pull it back, they're not willing to sign. So we said, what's a really easy fix for us to do?
Get on the phone.
Get on the phone.
Start calling waste management and the different power companies to figure out who owes what.
Yep. How expensive is it going to be? And then at the end of the day, they're walking in armed with knowledge because they were probably willing to pay if they had to pay the back. They might be willing to pay it. They just wanted to know how much it was going to be. Now, by the way, you guys, that's legit. That's legit. I think any one of you in here don't want to. And you always have to remember something I was sharing with Jim. You don't ever know how much money people have. You know, so when we say, oh, it's just $1,000 to turn that on. Well, you know, $1,000 to me and $1,000 to you and $1,000 for another family, that could all be, you know, $1,000 to some families is weekend spending money. $1,000 to other people is the only amount of money they have in the world, and $1,000 to somebody else is what they wish they had. You know, so I don't know where they are, you know, in their finances. So long story short, we got on the phone, we got all the information, and then they were comfortable signing. And then we found out some good information. We did sometimes you have to do a little bit of due diligence, and probably the only difference that we could possibly do in the future is if you are in a property and all the utilities are turned off, what you decide to go do if somebody wants to offer. What would you do different?
I would have known exactly what they needed and what would have occurred if they had to sign and have their early occupancy. And they wouldn't have been stressing out Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
They would have known.
Mm-hmm.
I would have had that information. They would have already been fully disclosed. And
Yep.
They would have just signed it. It would have been a very happy moment instead of stressful.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. Does that make sense? Until you don't know until you know. And not could be or a possible. I want to know now. And I want to know my numbers, and I want to check my numbers, and I want to make sure I'm comfortable with those numbers.
So something I would have done differently with that was Teresa was in there, and like she said, he raised his pen, they were frustrated. And this gentleman has been frustrated since I met him. He's emotional, and I already knew that. And part of the family, there's a lady in the family named Elsa. She's like the steamroller. She speaks really good English, and she translates to the Filipino. And my plan was I was going to get her on the phone and what the deal was and sign that. And it stopped the whole thing, and which I was not happy about. The meeting was gave and was just dropped into this, and she stops the whole deal and actually tweaks the paperwork and says, here's a list of electric companies and waste management places, and we're going to find out who the power's under, how much they really owe, and what the obligations are. I'm thinking it's already 4 o'clock. This is going to take forever. None of the family are there. They were crying the day before, going, we have to move in today. We have to move in today. I thought I had a way to do it, but Ms. Teresa slowed it all down, and they did get all the information on that and had everything needed and signed at 5 o'clock. And so it was a better way to go. I got a little frustrated. She called me on it. So I'm briefing about it and says, okay, you know, slowing down and making sure that they're comfortable at all times is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, because your frustration will show, and it might come across to somebody else. I'm not sure that it would, that you're just more interested in doing the deal than you are. Yeah, and remember, the difference between this kind of sales and any other kind of sales, and Jim didn't do anything wrong. He was doing exactly right. He was trying to get the deal done. Is that we're looking at a long-term relationship with somebody. I'm not looking at a short-term relationship. I'm looking at, number one, I'm going to be in contract with you 2 months. Does that make sense? And if somebody is, if somebody is frustrated, what do you know immediately? They're under pressure, they're under stress. There's also another different word for that. That's called duress. Anybody
They don't have a
know?
house anymore to live, that's why they're like that.
Well, I just think they really wanted in this property.
10 of them in one house.
Yeah, they wanted their, really a nice, maybe something they couldn't afford in a different price point. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
You know, maybe it's probably a big, and accept some of the issues because it's probably big doing it right there. Then they might be otherwise able to afford. Other thing that's really important for you to do is just because somebody, Miriam, is pressuring property, I'm always going to say, put the brakes on that. Okay, and why?
Find things wrong with that.
Well, here's, we don't want people who aren't approved. We don't want people who don't know what they're, because we were in a situation where we didn't know whether or not their loan their condominium was going to get approved, right? I don't want to move. Are you ready? This is the dumbest thing we can do, and it happens sometimes. The client is pushing you so hard to get into a property that they actually aren't, that we were having an issue with whether or not the condominium was going to be approved. Okay, do you guys all understand that with spot financing and FHA and conventional and whether or not the bank is going to lend on the property? You do not want to move a buyer into a property that they're going to have to turn around and get their crap out in 10 minutes because they're not going to get a loan on this house. Okay, because oftentimes, you guys, then we start talking about what we call non-refundable earnest money, right? Because I'm giving you early occupancy on my house. I want non-refundable earnest money, meaning you're going to lose. So I need to know that we have like a really better, flight is check for launch before we move these people in. Okay. Also, just because somebody is pouring out their terrible emotional life story, you're going to find that a lot of us who are older in this business, we're not very invested emotionally in your buyer or seller's moving. The reason is because we've been through this crisis a billion times. And what people have to do is go get ready. Storage units. Sometimes they have to go rent hotel rooms. Sometimes they have to go stay with relatives. Okay. Sometimes they have to pull an RV. Okay, but do not get jacked up into somebody else's issue where they're going to live. That's a you problem, not a seller problem all the time. Does that make sense? And the last thing I would tell you, before you push for early occupancy, make sure this is a family that you'd like living in your home. Does that make sense to you?
I would think like, what if you, are they gonna get a home inspection? Like,
They're accepting like 1 in December.
oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a previous
So I'd kind of be nervous having like a client of mine living in a property, and then when we go to repair, somebody like, well, that's because your clients are living in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the mold from however is because you have 10 people living in this, in a 1,200 square foot home.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, no, there's all kinds of
okay,
issues.
so there's been a home inspection. Okay. I would be nervous about that.
Yeah. No, but I'm just don't allow somebody else's push. Don't allow emergency to become your emergency. Have you ever had the issue of, your failure plan? Do you know what I mean?
Not to do an emergency on my part or something like that.
So I think something that is really important is to be involved in where people are living. Not that you don't care about caring people. Don't let somebody's, and we were having right? Okay, because what was your buyer like? I want you to ask right now. I want to get in there. Why can't they let me in? especially because when properties are vacant, people, buyers sit there and go, why can't I just move in?
They said that too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's vacant, why can't I just move in? Why would anybody not want me in their house? Well, because what if it doesn't, at the end of the day, what if it doesn't close? Then you have a non-interested party living in a property. Way, I need you to really understand this. Early occupancy agreements are outside of landlord-tenant law, meaning that in an early occupancy agreement, it says the landlord-tenant law does not protect this buyer. Okay? This is a daily occupancy agreement. It is not a landlord-tenant law. They have to get out in 2 or 3 days. So literally, do you see what I mean? You might just make this emergency where they had to move all this crap in this house. That's bigger. Now they have days to find. They've got 1, 2, 3 days to go find other suitable housing. That's the other scary thing. Does that make sense to everybody? No landlord-tenant law, no 30 days protection for moving out. 72 hours to get your stuff out. That means an entire household. So if that means all your furniture in, all your furniture out.
Unless you negotiate something, which we did, they allowed my client.
Well, and I think that had to do with the failure on the seller.
We were still not protected. One thing that made that really smooth, why my buyer didn't get mad at me in that whole awful transaction, is just giving her as much information as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why, here's the potential things that could happen, from all the perspectives. So you need to have plan B ready.
Mm-hmm.
All the time trying to always put it out there to her.
We put a security deposit down. But,
Oh my gosh, that was interesting too. Tell me the end.
well, so I was holding on to it, and the agreement was signed by everybody. And this was, I think, Friday or so. I went over to Alyeska and I showed this to them. And they said, well, oh my gosh, you're gonna have to send that to the lender and get approved so they can work it into the existing contract, which it took forever.
It took an additional 2 weeks and we had more on the other
And I
side.
said, no, you know what, I said, I think we can do this outside. And she said, yeah, it is done that way. So I just did the math, $500 security deposit, $50 a day, took the rest, the condo dues, divided it by the number of days and so on and so forth. But what I didn't know is the check that my client wrote out was to the seller. Because we didn't want it to Jack White. Right, because then it would have complicated things. So like today, I got, the check back and I just wrote it. But I guess there's different ways to do that. And all negotiable, right? And they had to get the utilities put in their name and so on. Yeah, I had to, they had called State Farm and I had a copy of that. I had everything there. I had the home insurance. I had everything lined up, but, you still doing it according to the way it's supposed to.
Well, and now with the early occupancies, let's throw that into the mix as well. Now with an early occupancy, if, and I believe the title company is telling you correctly, now it has to be part of the CD, the closing disclosure.
But she said you can do it outside, you
Okay.
don't wait till the last minute.
Yeah.
Which we didn't, because we had it, we were just waiting for the approval.
Correct. So do you, no, because remember it would go on the HUD. And HUDs didn't require disclosures and redisclosure and 3 days wait. So now we're talking about a 72-hour redisclosure and a 72-hour wait, right? So we want to be super, super, super careful. And then the other thing that, Jim, you were doing yesterday at the exact same time, not only were you trying to negotiate an early occupancy agreement, do a counter offer, get everybody signed on the bottom line, what about your other offer?
So Miss Adams, who we talked about yesterday, was put an offering on condo townhouse.
Condo, townhouse, 0 lot line.
Not a ranch.
Yeah, not a ranch.
But anyway.
Right. So, okay, so the realtor showed up when I was there at 8 o'clock. When I had the offer, they knew that I was going to, and there was supposedly 3 more showings
Be true. They can. More showings, I would say, in an excellent price point, in a nice area. Any more offers coming?
No.
Not that he knows of. Remember, the originator was sick. The originator was sick. Now, what would you do if you had an offer? Your originator is.
That offer is right down to the offer.
I talked to Ms. Adams and I said, do you mind if I just go ahead and try and get that 90% for you? And she works graveyards and she's older anyway, she wants to be sleeping during the day. So, I called down there and, Adam was the gentleman's name. And he said that he would try to do it and I was gonna go down when I was gonna say he was in charge. And let's see what we can do with that. Anyways, he ended up getting me the 90% letter just send over there. And we accepted we got the counter offer. And then I wasn't gonna be able to, I was gonna have to take it to Wasilla.
So Jim, he comes to me and he says, she's not coming into town until 11 o'clock tonight. It's probably 6 o'clock at this moment. Okay, what do I do? What should I do? Should I drive to Wasilla to get that counter offer signed? And this is now, what are your options? Let's talk about your options.
I was signing it, I could take it to her. She doesn't have internet. So there was no way that I was gonna send this to her and she was gonna, unless she met me at Kinko's or something. I thought about that for a second. Well, you take it to her, you have it signed, or you, I'm thinking, somebody could put an offer in that time slot. And so then I called the listing agent and I told her that all the terms were accepted. Could we go depending on word of mouth that we have something going here, or is there a chance that another offer could come with this? And she said that she assured me that we were good. But I don't really, was that even possible?
And no, and by the way, I'm sorry, you people are all lovely. I just don't, I just know that this is business. Do you see the difference? Every single one of you are a business person. And by the way, if another offer came in, she has the absolute legal responsibility to present that offer to her seller. And until that counter offer is signed, it can be withdrawn. Whether or not your lovely licensee on the other side would want to do that or not, she has the legal, did you follow me down the line? First of all, she has the legal obligation to show her seller another offer. And any counteroffer can be withdrawn prior to it being signed. So me knowing this, even if she's a lovely, wonderful person and would never, never, never in her personal life do anything that would be shady or suspect, and not that that would be shady or suspect. Remember, this is the law. If you get another offer in, you have to show. Even if we're at the closing table, signing for the buyer to purchase the property and the seller to sign their deed. If another offer comes in on that property, you are required. You all get that? Doesn't matter if you're at the closing table. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. The seller, you have an obligation to the seller to show them an offer they cannot accept if they wanted to. Okay, so that's how big of a deal that is. So there has to be, I call it the fierce urgency of now. You should write that down. The fierce urgency of now. There's a book out there, Tony Robbins, if you believe in the Tony Robbins guy, he'll talk to you about the fierce urgency of now. Okay, what does that mean?
Nothing is assured.
It's the Today Show, boys and girls. Jim, I'll go out. Zilla, that's a 2-hour round trip drive point. to go drive to Wasilla to get a signature on a. And of course, what are your other options? Let's talk about that. You're absolutely right. You could meet someone halfway. You could meet them at we have an office in Wasilla. You could meet someone at the office in Wasilla and do stuff like that. Do you all put that in your brain space? That if I'm out in the Mat-Su Valley, where can I work out of? Our branch office. Now,
But this is after hours, so does this heat work out there?
no, it does not. If it was after hours, you would have to contact the broker in charge. I know her personally. I might be able to get you in. I'm not saying, just maybe. But no, but you got to think about this kind of stuff. What would I do? So what if I can't meet at the office? What if the office is closed? What if it's on a Sunday? So not every one of our branches keeps the same office hours. FYI, right? Sunday. Okay, what do I do? Okay. Can you meet? Yes, you're absolutely right. Go meet at a FedEx, Kinko's. You could go meet at. She was coming in to go to work, not at 11 o'clock. So Jim was going to be willing to go to her work and have it signed at 11 p.m. at night. Okay. What are some other things you could do? Sometimes people can receive information at work, right? I mean, I'm emailing sometimes with people that are in their day job all the time. Right, so you can scan it to PDF, you can email it to them, they can sign it, they can scan it to PDF back to you. Do you get that? What do you know about your phone's a scanner, right? Your phone. And you can read it specifically on your phone. Scanner on your phone. Okay. Number 2, you need to know how. Number 3, you need to be able to get it to them. Okay, technology has anybody ever, besides me, ever have technology fail you? Like the battery on your iPhone dying in 15-minute increments? I love this phone. I love it.
You know, you can take it to the Apple store and have them do a battery replacement.
Can I? For $100. I can wait a couple more months and just throw this bad boy. Okay. My other phone had a battery that lasted for a very, very long time. It didn't. I don't know if it just uses so much memory or whatever, but I find.
Yeah.
Daily voice waiting. Okay.
Can we talk about the other side of
Yeah.
it for a second?
Yeah.
Let's say I get the call, wow, geez, we're in a little bit of squeeze here. I don't know if you have any other offers on the table. We are writing. I mean, you know. And if I would say, well, we did receive an offer yesterday that you're looking at. And I just got a call from, and he says they're writing one and it's coming. It sounds like a sure thing. Who wouldn't want to just hold the phone, take a look at everything?
Exactly.
Right?
But here's what I'm telling you. Remember what I've always
Just
told
no
you.
guarantee.
You only work the offer you have because you may never get the second offer. The only thing I care about, and I really want you to get this, you guys, you only work the offer you have. What I have in hand, what do they call a bird in hand, is worth 2 in the bush, because I have a bird here. I don't have anything over there because it's not over here. I can only deal with what I have. So you could wait for days to receive other offers. Does that make sense?
But I know I have this little window, let's say it's written on, you have to tell so-and-so to write in your counter offer or whatever. We've got that little space, or to respond back.
Sure.
So I would probably recommend we wait that other day and see if it falls through. Otherwise, we're on track with this one.
Yeah, and by the way, you guys get to, because you're independent business owners, you guys get to make some independent business choices. However, I'm going to tell you there's some super smart things to do. It's always, you're going to find that those of us who've been in business a little bit longer are going to always try to work the FIFO system. Does anybody understand? You do. Okay. First in, first out. First in, first out. Means I'm going to work the offer I have. I'm not going to try and generate additional offers from this offer. Okay. Jim, did you see your guy?
Okay.
Mr. Nelcha is out in the lobby.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, mister.
He's taking care of it.
Good. Here. First in, first out is a way that you can work an offer. And you can tell people, I'm gonna do first in, first out. So, and if I had for example, if I had an offer from another licensee that, so if somebody told me, I have an offer coming, I'm gonna just need to let you know, I'll give you a window of opportunity, you know, I'll listen to somebody, I'll try to be reasonable and work with you, as long as I haven't already presented that other offer and have a counter out to somebody else. But I'm gonna tell Mary Ann, I'm gonna say, Mary Ann, I already have a counter out. If we can't come to agreement, then you're welcome to present your offer. But I'm gonna work the offer I already have.
You wouldn't say just send it on in, we're in account, we're already in account.
I could do that, and that's absolutely, I could do that. And I could say the counter expires at XYZ amount of time, and I can let the other licensee do with that information what they will. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, but I'm not going to, a lot of licensees will work to get your offer accepted. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they just want to be in contract. Right? And by the way, I'm here to tell you, if you haven't already had a ton of listings, you're going to find out that there's a bunch of people who are going to call you up saying, I'm thinking about writing an offer, or my client really likes the property, and I'm going to write it. That offer never comes. You could be dying on the vine, and that offer never comes.
It happened to me. They wanted to write an offer and they wanted to do it the next evening, and that night they changed their
They
mind.
talked themselves out of it, or they decided, or they wrote another property. That happens all the time. So, because, what's that? Yeah, he's chasing
Really in
signatures.
the mode of.
Yeah. But my point is, if you work for the buyer, I was very impressed that he got it. He's like, I'll drive to Wasilla. Okay, I'll drive to Wasilla. And that's what I need you to have, the fierce urgency of now. That's the right way to be. And what ended up is they ended up meeting, signing, and then he was able to turn it in. Okay? But you need to chase signatures. You need to chase signatures. And we're becoming really lazy with technology, that electronically people can receive and send things. One of the things that you have to be willing to do is get in your car and drive to get them. Now, can you imagine having to drive to Wasilla at 5 o'clock last night? Okay, to go chase down a signature, but be willing to do that, because that's the right thing to do. So Honey Kim, I want to know if you got back your termination agreement.
No, not yet, but I got an email from her that she received it and she read the thing. And I also need a confirmation that she read the report. Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Now, what was the big controversy yesterday? Because we're going to go on a break. What was the controversy yesterday? You had a licensee say, I do not want you to send me the home inspection report. And does anybody remember what I told you?
Never say, don't send me something.
Never say, do not send me disclosure. I only have one small caveat to that. Do you remember what the caveat was?
Don't read it.
No, you can read it. I really don't want somebody sending me a sex offender.
Oh, yeah.
I really don't want somebody sending me a sex offender, because I'm going to lose on that every which way to Sunday. There's always a sex offender in your neighborhood. There is no neighborhood I know of that does not has a registered sex offender that's in it. I swear to God. There's no neighborhood I know of.
But if all things fail, then you stop.
You want to be very, very, very cautious about that. That is the ultimate nuclear bomb, and that sets off a horrible chain reaction. And remember, one of the reasons why I say this about the sex offender, you guys, is remember, we dictate the value of a home. If a home is seen, and let me put it to you this way, it's very interesting. I think I talked about this in pre-licensing before, if you guys took pre-licensing with me. I talked about there was probably 2.5 years ago, 2 unique houses came on the market at the exact same summer. Okay, one was, and tell me if you know this name, Robert Hansen. The Butcher Baker. Okay, there was a movie that had also come out that summer called On Frozen Ground. On Frozen Ground.
Yeah.
Okay. That gentleman's real house, the real house came on the market and Jack White represented that sale. Now, that, the gentleman was convicted, I want to say in the late 70s, possibly early 80s. I'm probably within a few years of when that happened. Okay. But that house has been sold multiple times between when they originally had sold to the current owner. But there are those of us in the industry that there are certain infamous houses that you don't know anything about. The Butcher Baker house, Robert Harrison's home, would be one of those houses that even though it falls outside the statutory limits of disclosure, I'm still going to disclose if I know in Muldoon on Old Harbor Road, if you purchase his house, I know that house, I'm going to disclose that to you. Okay, now some of the fact that a serial killer may or may not have held women in that house. Okay, there is evidence that he did. That's the trouble. Okay, so are you buying that house or not buying that house? You are not buying that house. You, even though it is like 30 years later, even though it's not the house's fault. Not the house's fault. It's not the neighbor's fault. It's not the house's fault, but you're still not buying it. Okay, Diane, are you buying it? Jonathan, are you buying the house? Just no? No way? No way. Are you buying the house? Are you buying the house? Are you buying the house? And I'm judgment free if you are. Honey, Kim, are you buying the house?
Yeah.
You're buying the house?
I'm buying the house.
Not a problem.
Not a problem.
Okay, for your,
I want to see what it's like. I probably am.
okay, to see it, but would you own it?
Yes.
You'd own it, no
I
problem.
will make it in the business.
Okay, cool. All right. How about yourself, Stephanie?
I probably wouldn't live in it, but if I, you know.
You
I
probably
might
wouldn't
rent
live in
it.
it, but you might own it,
I
right?
may have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll go, you might own it, but you might have it as a rental, but you might not. Okay.
I would do a rental because I would still have to disclose to my renters that it was his house.
As a realtor, you would, but as a Joe Q public, you would not. There's no disclosure for Joe Q public. Okay.
Marketing.
Oh my God. Okay, that's,
Yes, there's people like that.
you know, you're absolutely correct. Now, okay, let me go ask you another question. So, if I said the name, hang on, I can't remember the little girl's name. Israel Keys was the serial killer. Samantha Koenig.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I saw his dad at Fred Meyer's.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. That same summer, that house came on the market. Okay, now I need to let you know something really important about this house. He didn't own the house. He had a girlfriend. It was his girlfriend's home that he also shared with his little daughter. Okay, he did not own the house. He was a boyfriend, significant other. They were cohabitating together. Okay. Again, the shed was taken by the FBI because they don't know whether or not Samantha was in the home itself, but she was on the property and the FBI took the shed. The house came on the market. That house made national news for about 6 weeks during the manhunt, where Israel was finally caught. I want to say somewhere in Texas. I think I'm right. I could be wrong. I think in Texas. Okay. So long story short, boys and girls, are you buying the house? Again, he didn't own the house. He lived there. Okay. Are you buying it? No? For any amount of money? If they gave it to you, are you buying it?
No.
No. Okay. Zena was like, wait a second, let me think about that.
It's free.
It's free. Yeah, it's free. Are you buying the house?
Teresa?
Yeah. Yes, no?
No, only for free.
Only for free. Okay, so we would have to give it to you. Okay, interesting. Shoshana, are you buying the house? Oh,
I would.
you would? Are you living there?
No.
No. Well,
I don't know.
is it different that he didn't own it?
No, it doesn't matter.
I don't think they're owned it, but I feel like,
What
I don't know, I
happened
feel there's, and as weird as it sounds, the murder is a murder, but I feel like a serial killer versus like one one-time thing.
No, he's a serial killer. He's a serial killer, for real. No, they found out he's a serial killer. They're actually attributing, possible murders to him all across the United States.
Oh.
Okay, so 2 serial killers, which is why I'm using it, as my example. Okay, so are you buying the house? No. Okay, Marianne?
No.
No. To own, as a rental, as a bed and
Move on
breakfast,
to the next one.
as a VBRL? No. Okay, honey Kim, you're fine. All right, look at her go. Okay, and yourself?
Yeah.
You're okay. Okay, so judgment-free zone, guys. I'm here to tell you that every single one of us has a different opinion. And Zena might buy it if it's depending on how much it's priced at. But the bottom line is that event, that stigma affects value, which is where I'm going back to. If you identify a particular home being that of a serial killer, pedophile, et cetera, it affects people's perception of the value of the property. And can I tell you, the house is the house is the house is the house. It's an inanimate object. The house didn't kill anybody. The house didn't do anything to anybody. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's our perceptions of value that change, which is really why you got to be careful with the nuclear bomb.
With the nuclear bomb, isn't it our, since it's in the contract,
Yes.
isn't it our responsibility to tell the client about it also?
Yes and no. It's our responsibility to tell the client that they have the right to investigate
Yeah, they have the
if there is a sex offender in the neighborhood. We also have then, you guys, the next obligation is also to tell them that, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's sex offenders, as I understand it, in every neighborhood. There's people who are offending right now. And the scarier thing is I can sell you a property in a house where there's no, do you see this? No sex offenders, but Jeffrey Dahmer Jr. lives next door. He just hasn't been caught yet. By the way, does anybody know the name Jared, the Subway guy? What am I talking about?
He's a pedophile now too.
Correct. You know the guy who went on the Subway diet program? He's been featured in Subway commercials for this poor guy. For years. Pornography and
You know, there's a difference when you know what went on. You buy a house in the store, you know, so, so you have to accept, I mean, everything.
But that's, and here's the other point that you have to know. Sex offenders are a highly mobile population. Most of them don't own homes. Most of them don't own homes. They move a lot. A lot of them don't register because once they're found out, they're driven out of neighborhoods, they're driven out of jobs. Some of them are driven out of their lives, FYI. So it's not uncommon for people to kind of go underground, but a lot of the time they don't own a home, they're just renting. But that affects value, right? And that affects, I mean, I'm a mom, I don't want, I know you have an opportunity to live next door to a sex offender or not. Are you moving in?
It probably depends on what kind of sex offender also, because a lot of times the sex offender is like a minor
Could be.
or the,
Yeah, so they've been labeled as a sex offender. But the problem, the only trouble with that is there's no grade.
yeah, they don't.
They don't say, this guy peed off the deck, this guy murders kids. They don't have any crime and grade. Okay?
There's also the guy that rents an apartment over here, but then lives at his girlfriend's house and her home is listed on that.
Yeah, that's a super smart thing. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I know on that cheery note, I got to give you a break. So everybody come back in 10 minutes, okay? And we're going to get into some credit.
So now you can talk about the $1 million.
Oh, sure. Are you interested in that now?
I am.
Okay.
See, he perked up. He's ready to.
Okay.
All years. That's on the pan.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So you guys want to talk about permitting? Have you heard this? Have I already told you that?
Yeah.
Hey, Huntington, you realize you haven't signed in yet?
I'm doing a second one.
It was in front of you, that's why I was making sure you got.
Okay, so you guys want to hear my? You can okay, you're not gonna. Oh, well, I can't promise that, but. Oh, is it that? Okay, thank you. Thank you. But
So the best way to stand, if nobody knows how to stand, like when you're standing the time is the hardest, right? So what you want to do is you want to put your feet hip width apart,
Okay.
slightly bend your knees, and then what we're going to do is we're going to scoop the pelvis. And so it feels really weird. Don't do it. But if you're doing dishes, holding clothes, do this. If you're doing anything for a long period of time, you're scooping the pelvis. That's how you stand.
Thank you. I'm going today. I go today, but I have some lidocaine patches on my foot. And it's on block.
That's the pelvis. That's are you I'm only here. Okay, but you needle on the ground?
I know that Ari's dad's a doctor. Yeah, and he's like, you get up on your toes, it's your tippy toes. I don't know. And he goes, you have to get to a doctor immediately. Yeah, he's like, and then I want you to see a neurologist. I said, why do you want me to see a neurologist? He said, because you're having weakness. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm already off balance, so great. I mean, that's funny.
I think for a doctor, that's before today.
Well, that's exactly what happened. I did this party. I went, and it was just when I was when I was traveling. I heard, and she told me exactly what I did. So I was making beds in my house, and you know that twisting row or sheets and pillowcase, and you're doing all that, and I felt something kind of go. I just felt it. And then the next day I could barely walk. Oh yeah, there's a story. And then I went and traveled, and I remember my family, our feet swell, and we swell when we travel, right? Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's just like it's my dad had count. My dad had count. But it's yeah, that's we do that. Yeah, circulation. Yeah. So we got there, and I could. We were doing a lot of walking, and I was really getting shooting pain. So that went out of my therapist, and she's like, "Oh yeah, underneath your shoulder blade, a muscle that like." She's like, when I described this, she watched me walk, and I described what I'd done, and I knew that I had torn it. And she's like, "Yeah, I got it." And I was fine. I walked out of there, and I was like, "Woo-hoo!" And my son had a party for my son this weekend to move furniture. And I got all mad at my mom, and I carried the chair up the stairs. I can lift things. That was me. And she's like, don't lift that. Is that fine? Awesome. You've never, being a 48-year-old and throwing a pussy fit in front of your mother is awesome. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I know. And then she's just like that. Super. Okay. Ready. Now this is just an example, and this is just what I would do. I'm not telling anybody else what to do. You do this on anything you wanted to. Also, if you really are, if I were a veteran or I had access to VA eligibility, guess what I would do? I would buy 4 plexes, or if I could get a hold of this 110 plex, would do this with 1 and done. 2 8 plexes, whatever you can do. We're looking to get 10 more with the magic number. The idea being, and the reason why this one in my mind made sense, only because I'm thinking myself personally, and the fact that I want to do, Teresa wants to do the least amount of maintenance humanly possible, and I want to leverage more things being taken care of by a homeowners association, if at all possible. I'm also going to, I would say really round numbers, $100,000, just to show you, because the 10 times 100,000 is $1 million. So I like us to do that correctly. This is how you become a millionaire. Okay, so first year, and you could consider doing this every single year. Oh, by the way, you can go do this right freaking now. Okay, because do you have to go to the lender to get financing? No, where else can you get financing? Where else? What do you mean by private financing? Yep, investors, there's hard money lenders, what else is there? National Bank of Mom and Dad. Some of you have a whole crap ton of money in the stock market. Some of you have mutual funds. Some of you guys have retirement accounts. Some of you have like, anybody in here owns your house over 10, 15 years? That's me. Okay, so you might have a ton of equity in your home that you could do a home equity line of credit and equity out. Okay, so year one, okay, I'm going to purchase for me a condominium. I'm going to be my own sales agent, and I'm going to look for a condominium that has a couple different things. You look for your own condominium. Okay. In my circumstance, I'm going to look for what's called a full service condominium. What does that mean? HOA takes care of everything. I want them to do exterior maintenance. I want to do all the exterior maintenance, like mowing, snow plowing, painting. I want them to take care of the roofs, and as much other activity as I can get. I'm going to stay at the $100,000 price point. I'd like to have the property in South Anchorage. I don't care about the condition of the unit as long as it is rentable. Yes, ma'am.
So I kind of reached your goal.
Yeah.
And, telling people back and telling people that you don't care about
Yep.
it's very hard to sell.
Gotcha.
Because people are so fixed on protecting that.
Yep.
Just keep working.
Correct.
What, how's that done? How do you sort that?
So I would say, I'm just talking to you as a real estate professional. I'm not talking to a client in that way. Yeah, say the property that you are the most comfortable with.
And it is in that condition.
So I've got a hedge of protection, do I not? What's my hedge of protection? The security deposit. A lot of landlords actually think of security deposits, boys and girls, as an eviction allowance. It's a true story. Okay, so, and I'm just saying, just between you being a lamppost, I'm not, if God's in his kingdom and all things are right in the world, I'm never living in this property, is what I'm trying to get you to understand. I'm not looking at this as I'm going to live here because I don't want things, just between me and the lamppost, I don't want granite countertop. I don't want super fancy finishes. I do not want stainless steel appliances. I don't want to have to replace high-end things if something breaks or goes wrong. I just want to cash flow. So I'm not looking at it like it has to be beautiful and magical so that I can live in it. I'm looking at it like it has to be a property that someone would be willing to rent at the price point that would cover the mortgage and the dues. That's
the highly,
sought after. Yeah. So that's all I care about, is that it's in a good rental area and it's as nice as I can get it. And how about that? It's as nice as I can get it, but I'm not living in it. So I'm not looking for fancy. I'm looking for ready, durable. See the difference? So I'm looking for durable, right? So when I go to buy something for myself, or when I go to buy something for someone else, sometimes I'm looking to buy something that's the least cost to me. So for example, let me talk about coffee makers for a minute. So when I go for a wedding shower and I go to buy someone a coffee maker, I'm looking at the most affordable coffee maker that I can find that's as nice as possible that would make a good wedding gift. When I'm going to buy a coffee maker for myself, I'm buying the nicest coffee maker I want to afford. It's different. Same thing. And think about a car. When I'm renting a car, I'm not interested in how fabulous the car is. When I'm buying a car, I'm buying the nicest car that I feel appropriate to afford. When I'm renting a car, they're pulling up whatever Ford Focus is next on the lot, and I'm not arguing with them about what the Ford Focus comes with, because I don't give a shit. I'm not buying it. I'm just renting it.
So, the rentable area, why, I guess everybody, I don't understand what makes South Anchorage a good rentable area. I think South Anchorage is a good viable area, share it. So.
But it's the same.
I just don't see how if you.
No, and remember, I just said me, because first of all, it's close to me, I know it,
Okay.
and it's higher, it's a little bit higher end.
Okay.
It's close. I don't care. Anywhere.
Okay.
Very, for me, highly sought after rental area. Will do. Okay, by the way, I probably, just between you and the lamppost, is it okay if I say this? I'm probably not buying a bunch of property in Mountain View. Shocker. But that's still a good rental area. And if you were comfortable owning property over there, right on. I just don't want to be going over there and fixing property in the middle of the night personally. Because I've been, and here's the difference too, I've been a landlord, I've had to show up in my property in the middle of the night and fix something. So I want to know where I'm going. I just feel comfortable with it. I want it close to me, because this is convenience to me. By the way, I'm doing my own property management. See where I'm at? Convenient and close. Okay. So I'm doing a 15-year note, and I can. And by the way, I can use my commission as a down payment, or I can use my commission to reduce the price. And there's certain days it's smarter to use your commission as a down payment. There's certain days it's smarter to reduce the price. Just depends on what day that is.
What payments will be, what payments will be,
Sure.
you know, is that a rentable market price?
Correct. Why am I doing a 15-year note?
So, because of the blink of an eye.
By the way, 15 years ago, would anybody like to share with me how fast 15 years goes by? Right? Right? Just like done. Or I could have a 30-year mortgage. Right? 30 years is kind of a long time. 15 years is and the payment, the difference in payment is only $200. Right? So it's not that big a deal because you're paying the difference in principal, right?
Yeah, how do you reduce the price?
So you would do one of two things. So if the property was if there was a 3% commission on $100,000, I'm saying I'm taking a 0 commission, and I'm writing the deal at $97,000.
Okay.
Or I'm taking it as income, and I'm using the money as a down payment. Either way. And sometimes it depends on what day of what year it is, and what the interest rates are, and what the financing vehicles are out there. Just all depends. Okay, and again, all of these things I'm using round numbers because they're easier for me. Okay, so house number 1, year 1, I do a purchase. I'm doing a 15-year note. I'm looking at $100,000 condo. I want the majority of crap done, so I don't have to worry about roofs, painting, that type of stuff. And I just need the condominium to cover the debt service and the condo dues. And the reason why I say it just needs to break even is because so many people go get wrapped up in trying to get as fancy as they can get. I've had tenants destroy my property. So I'm really just looking for serviceable. Durable, that would be I like that word too, don't you? Just durable. I want durable surfaces. I want durable things in there. I don't want brand new everything, because then when it breaks down, it's heartbreaking. I might even consider putting home warranties on these properties. I don't know. Who knows? You as a professional can put home warranties on your properties if you did not know this. Correct, ma'am. Okay. Then the next year, I'm doing exactly the same thing. Then the year after that. So every single year you're in real estate, Do you or do you not have access to the best information about properties? Are you or are you not on the hot sheet every single day? Can you or can you not have first look at the inventory? Do you or do you not sometimes know about properties that are never going to make it to the market? Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes we have, if nothing else, we have the most intimate first look at properties. And it's absolutely okay for you to be a real estate investor. As a matter of fact, I would say it's highly encouraged for you to be a real estate investor. Okay? So then, year 2, I'm doing exactly the same thing. Year 3. By the way, how about if I really started rocking and rolling in real estate? How would you like me to blow your skirt up right now? What if you could, if you really got serious about your real estate game, start thinking that you wanted to pay, maybe you wanted to buy 2 or 3 of these a year. Maybe you wanted to pay cash if you wanted to commission out a rental property. Let's say in a 12-month period of time, so my original sales goal were to sell $60,000. How about my sales goal is I sell $200,000 and I take $100,000 of that and I buy a condo with it? Pretty clear. Or how about I take $100,000 in commission income and I buy 4? Or 4, do it whatever you want to do it. If I know that I have the ability to do this, and you have the ability in commission income to make as much money as you can physically stand to make, okay, then I can try, I could cash one of these out if I wanted to, I could invest, I could do whatever. Okay, anyway. So every single year I'm doing exactly the same thing. I probably would try, me personally, I would probably try and accumulate properties in the same area. Does that make sense? That's why I picked, if you remember, I said I'm picking Independence Park, okay, because it's a homogeneous area, highly desirable, lots of units that fit this criteria, and I just want a condo at a low price point. And I want it in a highly sought after rental area, and I just want the condominium. The other problem that people get into is they want unreasonable yields. Does that make sense? A lot of investors say that it has to cash flow them out like 10% or 20% or some unreasonable amount of money. Did you get that all I care about is that it just covers its rent? I don't care if it makes me, $100 a month. I just want it to cover its cash flow.
Because the point, remember, is you're building your portfolio.
Correct.
You're not trying to make an extra $100 a month.
No, I'm not, exactly, thank you. I don't care about the extra $100 a month. As a matter of fact, if the property, I would hope that it would cash flow, and there would be times when it would cash flow, and there might be times that it didn't. But if it did cash flow, okay, then I'm going to take that money that it cash flows, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to rapidly pay it off. Okay, so at year 10, if I did this, if I did 10 of these, if I did 1 a year, $100,000, they were all covering their debt service. Do you recognize that at year 5, you have $1 million worth of, or you have $500,000 worth of assets? At year 7, you have $750,000 worth of assets, and you have rapid equity in all of these other properties because of your 15-year note. Then, if you let's say one of these is a crap hole and it's terrible, what do you do? Dump it. Dump it. And I'm going to tell you something else that's really going to shock and amaze you. Okay? I would allow one of these to go back to the bank if it was truly a crap shot. If it was truly a crap shot. Why would I let that happen? I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm not even kidding.
Maybe if you crunch the numbers.
People go bankrupt all the time. Properties get foreclosed all the time. But my personal home is not being foreclosed. This is a business investment. You guys, businesses go out of business all the time. This is a little business that's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt me because my personal is going to be protected. Oh, get it down. I'm not going to let a condo, I'm not going to let a rental take me down. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yes, ma'am.
So, they completely destroy the unit.
Yep.
Yeah, we have to re-update.
Homeowners insurance. The unit burns down, what do I have?
No, not burns down, completely destroyed.
Yeah, what do I have?
Homeowners, homeowners will cover your rent or who demolishes your property.
In certain instances, but I might have a home warranty. And then what else? I'm gonna take them to court, am I not?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some legal protections, correct?
Like your blood for return.
Sure.
Just your deposit.
Yeah. And by the way, maybe I'm gonna have to put money into these. Yeah, because I know that over a 10-year lifespan, I have to think I'm gonna be replacing how many different carpet, dishwasher, how many times am I gonna paint? But again, I'm gonna have a security deposit, some of which will be covered by security deposit. And again, I'm just looking for durable properties. You know, I'm not looking for hardwood floors where a dishwasher is gonna ruin the floor. You see what I'm saying? I'm looking for durable. That's the difference. I'm not looking for fancy. So by year 10, I'm a millionaire on paper. On year 15, the first property is paid off. It cash flows 100%. I can take all of that income that I'm receiving on that property, and I can do one of two things. I can start to rapidly pay off the other ones, or I can take it as just 100% income. So every year past year 15, another one of these is paid off. So let's just say on year 15, my first condo is paid off, and let's just say it now pays me $1,000 a month. Okay, then the next year, this one pays off and it pays me $2,000 a month. The next year it pays me pretty soon it pays me $10,000 a month in income just by being a property owner. There's no capital gains only comes into place if you sell. I plan on doing what? Hold. As a matter of fact, I might transfer this to my who? In a trust that will skip probate. You're now a millionaire. On paper here, you're a millionaire. In reality, you're 15. You can start it today. Every single one of you. What could you do? You can go find out.
I'm gonna take an overpriced listing. I'm putting mine on the market for $1.3 million.
So I can buy 10 of those. I mean, seriously, do you see how this works? And you could start, literally, you can go start today. And by the way, that's the whole idea. You know, some of these people are going out there. That's the whole idea of flipping and doing that kind of stuff too. But what nobody tells you about flipping is it's extremely expensive and you have short-term capital gains. Nobody ever talks to you about the consequence to people. I hear people talk, oh, Teresa, you should go out and flip. I'm like, first of all, I actually know how much it costs to be your own general and or sub. Second of all, you know, it always costs more than you plan for it to cost. I've never had a contractor charge me less. You know, and then when you go to sell, if you have a profit left, you're still going to pay short-term capital gains. Nobody ever tells you that penalty is severe. But you cannot put it into a 1031 with a flip because it wasn't a rental. It doesn't qualify. Does everybody get that? It's a short-term capital gain. Also, if you use FHA or VA financing, you're going to eat it because you have to own the property for at least a year. Well, you'd have to have a cash line of credit. If you could do that, that would be great. Now, again, if any one of these turns into a crap investment, what do? Sell it, cut it. I don't care. If it's not performing, I'm over it. If it's a terrible condominium complex, I'm done. If it's a terrible, you know, if I just have bad luck with one of them, I'm dumping it. Then I have 9 other ones that if they're performing, great. You see that? Then I'm also at a low enough price point, you guys, that if the market goes up, down, or sideways, I don't care, because all I care about is what? That it's rented. I don't care if I paid $100,000 for it and it's worth $5,000. As long as it pays its nut, I don't care.
Where can I find stats on renters? Like how many renters you got in the area? There's stats like that?
There's stats on, at least on the single family properties, there's stats on who's owner occupants in each different.
And there's stats, where are those stats at?
That would be, remember, every condominium complex has to report. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can find out whether, so, and that again has to do with financing. So again, I don't care whether or not the condominium, as a matter of fact, if the condominium doesn't offer VA or FHA financing, I don't care. That's where you can get the better deals. You can get the nicer units, the bigger units that are actually the ones that are on the lower spectrum of the market that don't offer FHA and VA financing. Do you get that?
Okay, we have a substantial amount of people in the community that are out there wanting to rent something, that are looking or changing and moving, or if we have more buyers.
We've got both. We've got tons of renters and tons of buyers. Because remember, look at our population, look at our density, and then look at the artificial churns we have in our market. We've got a couple artificial churns, right? We've got the military bit constantly moving in. Okay, how about all of your, I don't know about you, but my kids are starting to rent property themselves. Yeah, younger population,
University.
college,
Right.
you know? So, I mean, we've got a few things that really help our market out. Transients, I mean that in the nicest way possible. There are people who come up here just to work here in the summer, for amazing summer jobs that they can't get anywhere else. Mhm.
From the 448. Because I was asking last summer while we were there, I was like, oh, where are you from?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, out of state. And I was like, really? So I started asking the other places. And almost all of
You know,
them from that
yeah,
state.
you are correct. The other one that's really interesting that I didn't know about is all of these tour companies and tourist-based companies. They bring people up here from all around the world to work. It's really tough to get a high school kid to go to Denali National Park for the summer. It's really easy to convince somebody from from Arizona, to come up here, work in Denali National Park for the summer, make really great money for a tour company, and then go home. So all of that money that's put into our economy, it's just fascinating. Okay, how do you like them apples?
Awesome.
Any questions on the Millionaire Program? Who could you share this with?
Your clients.
Every one of your clients. And again, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying between you and the lamppost, I'm just not looking, and it's hard to get out of, an investor looks at a thing differently.
I get it.
I know you do,
understand it,
and I know, but you're
selling it.
having to tell somebody else.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I would say the worst case scenario is what happens if your $1 million, the home you live in, blows up? I got a place to go.
Here's a question that
Yes,
might come from somebody you're talking to.
Sure.
On your side. But what happens if you can't rent it? What happens, they're so afraid of getting stuck with the rental payment?
Okay, what happens if you can't rent it?
You have to pay more.
I gotta pay the mortgage. But if, in theory, that's why people do guys, that's why people do 4 plexes. That's why people do 6 plexes. If one isn't rent, so then what you would say is, that's a really great point. So maybe what I'm hearing is, maybe it would be better for you to look at duplexes, triplexes, and 4plexes or up, because if one of the units is vacant, then you have the balance of the other units paying the debt service. That would be the difference. My idea is, remember, and please remember, I'm coming from the perspective of, Teresa Block, don't want to do maintenance. I don't want to place a roof on a property. I want the homeowners association to put a roof on the property, and I want my buyer to pay the homeowners association to roof it. Did you get that? Or my renter to pay the dues, that pay the reserves. So I'm looking for my mind, to leverage somebody else doing all the exterior maintenance. The reason being is I had a single family home, and I had to do the roofs, I had to do the yard, I had to do the furnace when it went out. I want to leverage as much everybody else paid for it as possible. That's why I chose me and Teresa condos. If somebody else could do 4plexes, it would be fine.
If you're talking about a whole other money.
But the down payment is so much higher on that than this. That's the other thing. This is actually, this low, the reason why I was trying to figure out, like, how could I convince myself to do this? The low amount of money was the low risk. The condominium was spreading where I didn't have to physically get up every single weekend and go mow and trim and snow plow and do that kind of crap. It just was the way that my mind worked it out, that I had the least amount to do to get the most amount of benefit. And I didn't want a fourplex because you still, in my mind, you still have to do the roof, you still have to do the exterior maintenance, you still got to do all that kind of stuff. So that's how I came up with this personally. But if I was 30 years younger, I'd go for the fourplex, sixplex, eightplex, 10plex idea. The other idea that I will tell you is investors are looking, just so you can be really clear on this, the more doors you can get under one roof, the more you can spread the load. Basically meaning one roof covering 4 doors is better than one roof covering 1 door. So it's just leverage and spread of when you do have to do major capital improvements. Also, the 10plex, the 4plex, it starts to get out, the down payment starts to get, unless you're a veteran, it becomes undoable. With a 20% down, it's undoable. I mean, there's John Wilson has a duplex for $500,000. $500,000 for a duplex. So that's just that those numbers become unworkable. 20% down on $500,000. How much is that, guys?
100,000.
Do you get that? I mean, if you have $100,000, I'd rather buy one, be one and done,
So
and cash flow it out.
FHA is you have to live in it for 1 year?
FHA, if you're going to be an owner occupant. No, see, here's the problem. If you're an investor, you have to have 20%. That's my point. I'm an investor. I'm not an owner occupant.
But if I
yes,
plan to live
Yes.
in this, live in it,
Yeah.
and in it for a year, then I can
Correct.
rent it out.
correct.
That's what my brother-in-law did.
Same thing with a veteran.
He bought a fourplex and he lived in one of the units for years.
Correct. And you can absolutely do that all day long and twice on Sunday. But God forbid if you don't actually become an owner occupant, God forbid. They will call the no due. That's where realtors will get bid.
They're checking.
Well, here's what will happen. If you live, so if I live right now in the Joe Q public house in Joe Q neighborhood in Anchorage, Alaska. It is really hard for a lender to believe that I'm going to go move from my $300,000 house in San Jose and go move into a fourplex in Mountain View.
Right.
They don't believe me.
Right.
And they shouldn't believe me because I'm not. Okay? So lenders got bid really badly. So they're in those instances, they're going to verify. And we've had a buyer get caught out and have their homestay called a no bid on somebody who said, and this was the worst. They were actually having work done on the property before they moved in. They didn't get the work done in time, and they called the no bid. Not kidding.
2 condos that I just sold. I was trying to explain people to this, and they don't get it. They were owner finance.
Mm-hmm.
We owned the property, they were rented. Hey, this is the down payment, and you get the payment from the people to pay
The mortgage.
the mortgage. Just that is like that. Nobody was into this other than one lady.
Got it.
Yeah, she got it.
Well, but remember too, a lot of times people have to have, this is cash. This is for somebody who has some modicum of cash, or they have the financing ability.
But he was financing, he was only asking for a down payment, it was so easy to work. He never put an amount. Then $50,000 was the deal for both of the units, 7,500, transferred onto the new lady. You get your rent every month, pay him, with the condominium, everything taken care of. I explained this to so many people, so many ways. No.
Well, and partly some of it is, a lot of people don't have, they haven't seen $7,500 in 10,000 years. They don't have the money. A lot of people just don't have the money. Does that make sense? You got to have the money.
And if you're not taking account, it's very subject, no matter what.
Now, but you know who's my favorite person to talk to about this, you guys? veterans. The reason being zero down payment. Zero down payment on a fourplex, zero down payment on a sixplex, zero down payment. And if I can convince a veteran to buy a multi-family before they go buy a $50,000 truck, I'm in business. I'm in business for the rest of my life. You guys get that? Okay. All right. That's pyramiding. And that's called leveraging. Okay. That's also what Karen was talking about an owner. So right now, if you have somebody who owns a bunch, who has a lot of equity in their home. Okay. So anybody, you have somebody who's lived in their house for 5, 10, 15 years, where half of their equity is in their home. This is something that they could go do using equity out of their home, where they don't have to come up with cash. Where other places people have cash that we don't know about. Retirement accounts that are underperforming, mutual funds. Some people pay a crap ton of money into life insurance policies. That they have money built up in them that they're never going to touch, right? There are people out there, believe it or not, who've done 529 accounts. Do you know what a 529 is? That's an educational account that their kids don't ever use because they don't go to college because they're too dumb to go to college. I'm sorry, what? How about some people, here's my other favorite. Anybody in here ever get an inheritance? What could you choose to do with an inheritance? Okay. Or you could become an investor. You see that? Retirement funds, 401ks. You can actually, without penalty, you can remove money from the 401k for purchase of a property. Did you all know that? You have to follow the IRS guidelines, and there are some IRS guidelines. And obviously anything can change. Okay, but where else? And the other thing that's really interesting, people in Alaska have money. We have something like some ungodly amount of many billions of dollars in our bank accounts and savings accounts. I'm shocked about that. Isn't that interesting? Okay, what else can I tell you about pyramiding? What's the danger?
Pyramid?
Having to let a condo go.
Having to let a condo go, but what did I tell you about that?
It's not your home, it's not your business.
If you think about, so how many business people do you know have had some business not go well? Did that stop them from having other businesses? You see what I'm saying? So if you're now a business owner. One of the biggest things, I think it's really interesting, when I told a group of people, I'm like, well, I would let it go back. They were like, oh, you would let, and I'm like, yeah, if I had a dog investment, like I had a dog business, I'd let that one go and I'd keep the rest of them. Yeah, I would. I'd be like every other American. Who bought? What's that? You want to say, if you want to?
I just said I barely keep my eyes open.
Oh, you're barely curious. I can't believe it. Okay, so who can you share this information with? So how about you have a veteran buyer? What's one thing that you might want to chat with your veteran buyer about doing first?
Using that zero down to buy investment property.
Using a zero down to buy investment property. Have you ever thought of, before you go buy your house, have you ever thought about getting a duplex, fourplex first, and then after we close on your duplex or fourplex, because you can always, so for a veteran, you guys, they can always move into a multi at zero down, have somebody else cover part of their payment, and then in a year, they can go buy another single family residence. So you can help somebody get a 3-fer in 2 years. Or a 5-fer, 4-plex, whatever, and then a single family. All what? Zero down, still covered by their eligibility, because don't most veterans have, I could get $620,000 of eligibility? On your,
What do you mean?
what's that?
Don't they have to pay a property manager though if they don't have that kind of experience? Or that's a condition of the loan?
Could, I mean, it depends on where they're getting their loan from. 'Cause, maybe, but even so, it's eight, I'd say, so if it's 10% of your proceeds and you're making, I mean, if it's nothing, it's nothing, I mean, it's just not that big of a deal. And then you get the experience and then you.
Right, I think they have to have 2 years experience.
Yeah, I don't know what the, I don't know what the VA is, but even so,
Yeah.
the amount of money is found by escrow,
Yeah.
then it kind of doesn't matter. Do you see what I'm
Oh,
saying? And then, by the way, I'm not, and I would ask the question, as soon as they purchase it, they agree to get the property manager. Does the VA come and check out to see if they kept the property manager after the first month? Oh, no, because I guess I could have fired my property manager for not doing a good job.
How about this one? We're only gonna be here for 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, they be a property manager, where you're probably making that in Alaska, or in Utah.
Well, and a lot of people, and here's the rub, this is the scary thing, a lot of people who buy the property, they're single-family residents, because there's a 0 down payment, right? They don't have enough equity to sell it. So wouldn't it be better to have an investment that pays rather than, I'm just, for me, that's how my mind goes. Maybe, but again, everything has to do with, what is the hardest thing, Shoshana, that people are telling you that they have a hard time with the idea?
Basically, and it's probably from bad experience from past tenants, but tenants wrecking the investment. So they have a hard time. What I'm trying to convey is that you don't care about what kind of property you're buying as long as it's meeting the mortgage. Oh, it's harder to do than blah, 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 blah. So it's like they're having a hard time believing that
But then.
that it's that easy, I guess.
I guess, but tell them that you're, does everybody understand something when I say you're trying to scale something? I'm trying to scale a business. This is about scalability. So if they can take their mind off of, that I have to keep a property, I mean, I don't want to say slumlord. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I mean, that slumlord.
I don't want to, well,
You know,
and by
that's
the
what I
way,
got.
and by the way, you say that like that, but I mean, you just kind of want to go, you know, maybe that's what you need to wrap yourself around. I'm not trying to be Donald Sterling, you know, and be a slumlord. I'm just trying to have the property in good enough condition to rent, not perfect condition to sell. And and also, because you have the benefit of the security deposit, you have the ability to maintain the property over time. And you could, if you wanted to, you could go in, totally gut it and fix it and do it like that as well. But just monumentally over time, you're trying to keep your expenses as low as humanly possible so that it's maxing out on the payoff. So, yeah, I get it. You're not trying to be a slumlord, like horrible person, and you still fix things as they come up, but you're just not trying to provide someone the top. You don't buy a condo that has gold toilets and glass countertops.
I think human condition or a typical one is just risk taking. It's difficult. It's a risk.
It is a
Feels
risk.
scary to people and it's not money, so, that's probably more.
Well, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there with terrible experiences, you know, terrible experiences. And so
The
I'm
thing
not-
is that even a lot of successful landlords are doing exactly like this. All you're gonna hear from them is complaining and how hard it is, how hard I'm working, even though they're lucrative.
The portfolio is
Okay,
all right.
people like to complain. They want to let you know just how difficult this is and how they're being successful under these circumstances. You're gonna find that in every aspect.
Sure.
That's just the way people are, and that's the perception.
Well,
And even some of them are spiteful, and they're gonna complain and because they wanna have more money than you. They wanna have that status. They're gonna try
by
to
the way, or they might
discourage
actually be trying to
people from
discourage
being
you
there.
from doing it.
Right.
Because if you knew how
Even
really
though
easy it
they're
was.
lucrative.
Yeah, or if you knew how really easy it was, it would shock you. The day that you walk in and you can, you know, Evangelina was just saying, for $15,000, you can have 2 condos that with cash flow. For $15,000. Some of you have 15 grand on your credit card. That's like for dinner you had 6 years ago at the cattle company. Other people have decided to put their money into real estate. Now, each is equally, you know, each has a financial risk with it. This one just pays. Credit cards just take. You see what I mean? So if I sit there and I say, every one of us decides financially to do something different. I'm gonna take a risk that has an opportunity to pay me something. Other people are gonna go, this is my all-time favorite. I'm thinking about somebody you used to know, going out and buying cars. And cars and cars and cars and cars and debt and debt and debt. Or you could just put, instead of putting money into things that devalue, you could put money into things that, in theory, increase in value. Oh, and here's the other thing, right? This is the other theory. Remember, as I'm paying the debt service down, our market has gone up over the years. So even if you had a CPI, we call it a CPI increase, and you know what CPI is? Consumer Price Index. A CPI index, you're hedging inflation, because remember, if I go back to the statistics for a sec, and I tell you that over the last 15 years, our market has gone up like 40-something, 42%. Every year I own a property in the last 10 years, my $100,000 investment would be worth $142,000. Do you see what I mean? So even if I wanted to sell one to go buy more or pay one off or do whatever, that's what I'm talking about. You choose, you vote with your dollars. Every single dollar you have, you vote with it. What do I want to vote in? One of the smartest things that you can possibly vote with is in real estate. Okay? Because you have the best line of sight on it. Oh, and by the way, you're trained on what's a good investment and what's a bad investment. Right? You get to use where else can you use your commission income to help purchase or reduce the price? See, that's amazing, isn't it? Okay, any other questions on this? Is it risky? Yes. Should everyone do it? No. 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 But the safest, and what would the safest one be that you can think of? Safest would be full service condos. Safest. Most things paid by other people. What's the riskiest? 4-plex, 10-plex, riskiest. One investment, if it all burned down, everything goes up, riskiest. Multiple vacancies cause you trouble with debt service. Okay. Safer would be 4-plex, duplex, 4-plex, where somebody else is making part of the payment. So if somebody's risk adverse, they have different options. How about, you want to know what another family went and did? Do you want to know this one? Mobile homes. Yeah. In 1989, you could pick up a mobile home for $900. They're now selling for $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 right now in the same park. Can you imagine? Now, it only took 30 freaking years. But point being, I know what that was. Started, yeah, mobile homes are another area. Okay. Any questions on pyramiding? Okay, you can be a millionaire. Very well. We still didn't do that in class.
You heard it. She just gave you permission.
What I give you permission to go do?
All right.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Yeah, I thought the other way around.
You thought it was only good for.
Thank
you. Because we didn't do it before. No, you can use it for income properties.
Except for land, right?
Glad you came.
Except for land, right?
You cannot do, as far as I know, I don't believe you can make it. You cannot use the date on
Okay. landlord, landlord.